Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. Just bringing you a Tottenham roundtable with myself, Jack, and we are joined by Spurs Talk Show, aka Shawnee Boy. He is just doing a quick errand, but he will be back in 2 minutes' time. A lot to get through today, so we do, a bit on Harry Kane's future, and man, I'll give a bit of an update. And we also have a bit on, whether or not Harry Kane will stay. Will he stay if we don't get Champions League? Should we sell Emerson? Should we not? Should we, give him more time? The naming stadium rights, do we have to sell that in order to be able to have a big summer this year, like we were originally told we were going to have in the January transfer window? So a lot to kind of get through. But look, we are joined by, of course, Jack, the co-host. Jack, how you keeping, my man? Actually,
Dave, yeah, I guess, but to be fair, Dave, I would say normally don't really give this response, so it probably shows that it's quite genuine. I actually am doing quite fantastic, to be fair, Dave. I do have the flight tomorrow to the UK, watch Karim Mercedes Benzema absolutely destroy PSG, which is probably a team I hate more than, honestly, any other team out there, to be fair. And I don't know, Dave, Harry Kane, and just picturing goals, I would just say, Dave, I'm actually in flying form at the moment. I'm feeling great.
No, same here, my man. I can't wait either. I'm flying out next Tuesday, shift from Tuesday to Monday and going to Brighton away, West Ham at home. I'm absolutely buzzing and I cannot wait. But of course, we are joined by Shawnee from Spurs Talk Show. Sean, how are you keeping, my man?
Well, I feel a little bit deflated. I'm not flying anywhere.
You get to see me next week, man. You
can't meet at this level of excitement. No, you can't meet us there.
I mean, it's going to be good to see you guys, but I want to fly somewhere. I've not been on a plane for a few years. It's outrageous. No, I'm good. I'm good, guys. Good to see you. Good to be here. Thank you for having me, as always. Let's get going. It's not even game. I'm not going to say it.
It's not game day. Save that for Saturday, my man. On Saturday. Buzzing. But look, before we do kick into it, as always, we like to see who is in the building with the Irish Hotspur Army tonight. Let's see who we've got. We have Moondog says, good evening, lads. David, did you get your parcel, mate? Yeah, I have to go down for it tomorrow. I got a letter in the door here, so I have to fly down tomorrow and pick it up, my man. But big yourself up, Moondog. What a legend. Can't wait to see the coasters, my man. I really can't. I'll have them here with my mouse mat that I actually got for Christmas. The Irish Hotspur.
Whoa!
We're going places, Moondog. I'll have that coaster there for my drinks on game day and everything else. Big up, Moondog. Wow. Dan Coy says, good evening, David. Slightly concerning that there's no time scale for Skip's injury with only around 12 games left of the season. Hope he can make it back. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Look, Conte did say that he does expect him to be back before the end of the season. It is a bit concerning, to be honest with you, that there is no time scale for it. But look, we haven't really been given too many timescales since Conte has come in, to be fair. It's kind of all been kept in-house. But with Skip, I don't understand it because he went out with a groin injury. Guys, you have any thoughts on this?
It's a bit weird. And to be fair, I don't know. Sean, let me in on this. But whenever also a coach makes any sort of, speculations about the medical team and what's going on, especially with the recovery, you often think something could actually be going on in the background, maybe to a degree where either the manager is just frustrated with the timeline and is just kind of pouting about it, or he's been told oh, he's going to be back next week. And then he isn't back next week. And then the manager's like, well, that's what I was planning on. You can't just, turn me over like that. Which one do you think it is? Because it could be that Antonio Conte is just kind of upset that Skip isn't available. We're all upset that Skip isn't available. Or it could be the case that maybe he was told a few times, yeah, he's supposed to be back, but he isn't.
Yeah, it's a strange one, Jack. I don't know, like the rest of us, don't know what's going on. But I tell you what, there's something that's odd because he called out the medical team, didn't he?
Pep Guardiola did it before at Bayern Munich. I remember Pep Guardiola did it there. So it means something. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, no, it's odd. I mean, I said this on one of my morning walks. I don't know, nobody's off of Antonio Conte's radar when it comes to a cheeky press release criticism. He'll go after anybody, and I've never seen anybody. Maybe Pep Guardiola did go after him in the back when he was at Barcelona, but I've never heard anybody in the Premiership in the management space go after their medical team, and he's done it. So maybe he's super frustrated, and maybe he thinks that the injury should have been cleared up a long time ago. He's been out for some time. It's just a groin strain. Well, it was just a groin strain. Something's going on. Don't know what though.
Do you know what? We've always had the long-term injury issues at Tottenham. It's been crap since I was born, that medical department. So it has been, honestly.
Hopefully he doesn't target the tea
always had
lady or
injuries.
anything. Hopefully he doesn't target the tea lady or anything,
She's
Dave,
next.
because
Too much
tea lady,
caffeine.
the tea ladies are right back next season. So hopefully, he doesn't target her, to be fair.
Matt C says, how are you, boys? We win Saturday. It will be a statement game that Spurs want Champions League, and they are willing to fight for it too. Right, it will, my man, and I am buzzing for it. I cannot wait. Look, it's going to be a tough ask. The thing is with United, their forward talent, they can turn it on at any stage. Defensively, we are not the greatest defensively, but our last 2 games in the Premier League, we have kept clean sheets against Leicester and Everton. So who knows, Matt C. But we definitely have the firepower up front to make Maguire, turn him into a whirlpool fridge and, send Lindelof back to Sweden for sure, my man. But big up, Matt C.
Love it, Matt C.
Mick Hermalock is in the building. Good evening, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Mick. We have the Bertie 1008. Big up, Harris and Flat Cap Army. I strongly believe that Levy will use Poch as a get-out-of-jail card. If he is sacked, the Scrooge knows he will have to spend with Conte. Stop this Poch talk. Hashtag back Conte. No, 100%. I'd rather keep Conte than bring Poch back, to be honest with you. The Bertie, but big yourself up. Leon says, evening, lads. Big up yourselves. Big up, Leon. We also have Aidan Doherty. He says, hi, David. Big up, Doherty. I hope you're keeping well. Any relation to Matt, my man, let me know. It's a good time to come out and say it if you are now. Dave Tyson says, evening, lads. Big up, Dave Tyson. We have William McKenzie. He sent in a super sticker.
Yeah, Dave, it's a
massive. To make out what it is.
It's a massive one, and it's actually, I guess maybe Dave, he's saying that we're overpowered because he's gone with the big OP. That's what it says. It's a rhino with the big OP, Dave. So, either Skip must be overpowered, either we must be overpowered, Dave. Someone's overpowered, according to William McKenzie. Do let us know, my man. Big up, William.
Big up, William. Big up. And I really appreciate the size of the donation, my man. Really do appreciate it. You have no idea. I was just actually saying to the boys there before we came on that I'm already putting in plans in place for the summer and for next season already. So make sure you stay tuned on this channel. It's only going one way and it's up, baby. So big up, William. Zoe's in the building. She says, big up, lads. Big up. William McKenzie also says, come on, you Spurs. Let's fuck United up. Absolutely love that. Wayne Bonner says, good evening, one and all. Hope you're well. Come on, you Spurs. Talk until I die. I'm buzzing. I mean, why wouldn't I be? We just slapped Everton 5-0. So I'm absolutely buzzing, my man. Welsh Gal says, evening, Harris Army and Flat Cappers. Big up, lads. Big yourself up. Who else have we got? We have Frank last. He says, William McKenzie, what part of New Zealand are you from? We have Mark Cousins. He says, big up, lads. Had to visit the pub tonight in preparation for Saturday. We will smash them. Come on, you Spurs.
Big up.
Big up, Mark. I hope you're keeping well. Shamu was also in representing the New Zealand Army. Big up, Shamu. We have Pero Miguel Escobardo. Good evening, fam.
Legend.
Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Spurs. Anthony Grace here says, if you get top 4, I feel both Conte and Kane will stay. Need that top 4, though, to attract the cream of the top players this summer. I'm sure money promised Kane wants to play against the highest level. Well, Anthony, exactly what you talked about there is exactly what's in this tonight, my man. So we will digress that. Kyle Patrick Vineyard says, yes, Dave, how are you doing? Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Kyle. I have to say, always brings a good smile and good energy to the pre-match pump-ups. Big up, Kyle.
KBP.
I hope you are keeping well, my man. We have John Stokes. Yes, Dave and Jack, the best straight talking show on YouTube. Come on, you Spurs. I appreciate that, my man. Really do appreciate it. That's brilliant. That should be
always in here, John is.
So I should. Dan Coyce, we're gonna answer that one tomorrow with Tottenham on tour. I'll be honest though, if that video came out in the back of us being losing, I would have went absolutely spare. I would have sat there and I would have went, these guys are talking about, what do we have more in the world, doors or fucking wheels? And we're losing. I would have went absolutely spare. So I'll be honest with you, I reckon that's one that's been going on for a while and they've held it back until we're off the back of 2 good victories against Leeds. In my opinion. That's my first thought when I seen it. But honestly, I think top 4 should be on their minds rather than doors and wheels now, to be honest with you, Dan. We have Aaron Doyle. He says, big up, lads. Big up, Aaron. I hope you're keeping well. We've got DG. He says, oi, big up, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Welsh Gal says, safe trip, Jack. Michael Bennett says, great pan as always, boys. Come on, you Spurs, and fuck off, you Chelsea scum. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving the memes all over Twitter.
That's what I forgot about as well, Dave. That was also giving me life today. The PSG performance or the PSG result, this one, Chelsea, it's all, Dave, I would just say we're flying high. Great day.
Oh.
Great day.
Oh, we definitely are. It's a great day for Spurs fans looking at what's going on with Chelsea. Rico Z99 says Everton sacked one of their medical staff because he's shit and doing money laundering. Well, they have problems then, don't they, my man? Mark Cousins says, minute silence for Chelsea. No, let's not. No, honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm loving it. You know, honestly, I don't have enough wipes to keep soaking up their tears. I'm going to have to start rinsing them out now and double using them. It's not right, you know. It just a bit like Chelsea fans and Chelsea people around Chelsea are going to have to learn to use. Start double using everything, you know, recycle things and everything else because they just don't have the money anymore, Mark. So big yourself up, my man. Hope you're keeping well, lad. We've got Lee D says, Yids, big up, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Keith Edwards is also here. The thing is, with Skip out, we can barely put a first 11 out. Kane and Son, etc. needs resting, but can't because we haven't got debt. Roll on the summer. Big up, Keith. Exactly, my man. Steve Fraser says, evening legends. Big up, Stevie. My man, no legends. We're just one of you guys, passionate Spurs fans. Rich Wika K says, oh, what pronunciation. Bang on there. He says, are there more doors, or she says, are there more doors or wheels in the world?
Discuss it tomorrow morning. You'll get the answers tomorrow. But Big Boss Man in here with a much smaller woo than usual, Dave. So, Big Boss Man, I hope you're keeping okay, my man, because this is not, you know, usually it's all uppercase. Usually a few more O's in there. I'm a bit worried about Big Boss Man.
It's not game day. The big woos come on game day.
Fair.
Big up, Big Boss Man. I hope you are keeping well, though.
Do let me know you're doing okay.
We also have Toffee20 says, guys, big up. We have Fiona says we have to get top 4 or fear we become a mid-table club. I think that's everyone's fear, Fiona, to be honest with you. But look, if we don't get top 4, it is what it is. We just have to pick ourselves up, brace ourselves for another year of maybe Europa League and stuff like that, which none of us want, to be honest with you. But hopefully we will get top 4, Fiona.
Jack's happy with
Jack does. No, Jack will settle for it. Spurs related is in the house. He says, hello, Chaos. Big up, my man. Yeah, you know, big Chaos here. He'll be over there presenting the fan show for Spurs related tomorrow. So please do come over and join me. Spaghetti Slayer says Chelsea done a deal with the devil and now they're paying the price.
Yeah,
that's fair. Bodril Mazid says, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you back, David. Big up, Bodril. Good to see you, man. Connor, how's it going, my man? We're going good. I hope you're keeping well. Barney Evans says, if we beat United and a possible deduction of points of Chelsea, I think Spurs have the best chance in a long time of getting top 4. It's in our hands. We've got United, we've got West Ham, we've got Arsenal still to play. It's in our hands, my man. We can still do
Chelsea
this.
Chelsea won't get a points deduction, though.
No, they won't. Chelsea won't get a points deduction. But look, top 4 is in our hands, my man. It is in our hands. Ollie Freeman's in the house. He says, hello, what a great day. Big up, Ollie. I hope you're keeping well. We also have Nosco, 25. Hola, amigos. Mama Monty here. Spurs would be up, be on the up now. I saw Chelsea on eBay today. No bids at all. They can't even get the club away, lad. It's the Yids time to shine. Positive vibes all the way.
Love it, Nosco. Love it. K-Tal.
Big up, Mama Monty. I love that. And then we have Jonesy. Do you think Arsenal are actually favourites for top 4? They've had one game a week all season. They're only 3 points ahead of us. Are they being overhyped? Look, in fairness, they have turned around their early season form, to be fair. Overhyped, I would say so, but they do have some good youngsters. But I do think that lack of experience might just cost them in the end, and I hope it will, because it means we'll get top 4 then. But everybody, make sure you do smash that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in and support myself and Jack on this journey. It's a massive, massive help to everything that we do here. Do not worry. We know not everybody's in a position to do it. But just get your comments, your thoughts into the chat, and we will get them up as we go along. But I'm going to hand it over to Jack now, and he can fire the first question at Shawnee.
All right, everybody. I would say kind of similar to the Kaniki Answer Me from last time. I feel like a lot of really interesting questions to discuss, but kind of almost all over the place to a degree. So everybody, I would just say strap into this one. We're going to start off, you might say nice and easy, just something that's a bit topical because Sean, you know, we were hearing a bit of disrespect over today on Talk Sport, and some were saying that, you know, in fact, you know, Lewandowski is, you know, he was named the best striker in the world, you know, according to, you know, the Ballon d'Or Association and whatnot. But even TalkSport today said, you know, Lewandowski is still years beyond or still light years beyond Harry Kane. Is Lewandowski to you actually better than Harry Kane and is the best striker in the world? I know it's not a question you're used to, Sean, but I'm curious to see what you have to say.
Look, I think the answer is resoundingly no. He's not. I mean, he's definitely up there. Right? Lewandowski is a phenomenal striker. Best striker in the world? Well, best striker in the world would be desired by every single club. And if you were to look at Lewandowski at the age that he is versus Harry Kane, any club, take your pick. Who would you rather sign right now? I think most clubs would say they'd want Harry Kane because what he can deliver plus how long he can deliver it for. Lewandowski's probably got 2 years left on him. And also, I think that the one thing that goes against Harry Kane that doesn't go against Mbappe and Lewandowski is that they like Harry Kane. If Harry Kane was playing for Manchester City, if Harry Kane was playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona, banging in the goals, playing the way he does, and with the breadth of different skill sets that he offers, then he would be absolutely spoken of with more respect than he currently gets. So I personally would always take Harry Kane over the rest of them. There's no disrespect to Lewandowski. He is an absolutely phenomenal striker.
I think he's been given enough respect by the looks of it.
Yeah, he gets enough. He doesn't need mine, but he has it anyway. But I'd rather have Harry Kane all day long than Mbappe or than Lewandowski.
Just a quick follow-up, Sean. Do you feel like maybe what's often maybe not noticed is the fact that maybe players like Lewandowski perhaps would do better in a team like Bayern than they would with a team like Spurs, where Harry Kane has shown that he's had, played at a world-class level with a club like Spurs. Does that maybe also give him maybe that notch above Lewandowski because he's playing at a world-class level for a team that is nowhere near Bayern Munich's level either?
Yeah, and like 100%. I've never seen Lewandowski play the 8, 9, and 10 role all in one game. Yeah, right. Like he can do everything. Like Harry Kane is the best player at Spurs in 70% of the positions that we need a player to play in. He could play. We had this question before. Could Harry Kane, who's the best player all round or whatever? It's obviously Harry Kane. I don't think Lewandowski can do it. I've never seen Lewandowski come deep and spread passes with the accuracy, the consistency. I've never seen Lewandowski build relationships that are that pivotal that where you can give and take and slip into the assist or the goal, the scorer. Like I say, I think Lewandowski's doing it whilst he's a world-class player in a world-class team. The German league is not as anywhere near as competitive. Yeah.
And it's even dropping in competitiveness. Dave, a bit of, disrespect, towards your man HK today. I'll be fair, to play a bit of devil's advocate, for Lewandowski. I would probably say I think he still probably deserved a Ballon d'Or at some stage in probably the last 1 or 2 years. The man broke Gerd Muller's record of like something 40 odd goals in a single season, almost thought unbreakable at the time. So to be fair to Lewandowski, I would say maybe all the plaudits he's been given, probably well deserved. But then to say that Lewandowski, I think it was even said on Talk Sport, Dave, Lewandowski would do just as good of a job in Tottenham squad as Harry Kane is doing, is what they were saying. Would you think that is true?
Look, first of all, it's not really a fair question to be asking me because, as I said to you earlier, Jack, I'd actually lick Harry Kane's boots after he's finished playing. After every game. To be honest with you,
I'd lick something else a little bit.
I really would. I'd lick that boots clean. Probably clean enough anyway with the way he strikes the ball. But look, to be fair, though, look, when it comes to Big H, look, yes, Lewandowski and Benzema, they've played for the Real Madrids, Bayern Munich's, and, they have a couple of trophies to show for themselves and stuff like that. But Kane is the best all-round footballer. Kane can set up goals. Kane can finish goals. Kane drops deep, helps out defensively. None of them other guys have to, purely because of the teams they're playing in. Would Lewandowski and Benzema do what Harry Kane is doing in the Tottenham team? No, of course they wouldn't. They'd want to be out of here, first of all. They'd be on the first plane out of here. But second of all, they wouldn't track back and help the team like Harry Kane does. Harry Kane is a better finisher than both of them, to be honest with you, in my opinion. I think he's better in the air than both of them, in my opinion. He's better at holding up the ball than both of them, in my opinion. He's better at running in behind than both of them, in my opinion. And he's better at passing the ball than both of them, in my opinion, and better at long-range passing. So for me, Harry Kane is the ultimate player. Where do you think Bayern Munich will probably come calling once Lewandowski retires? Either Haaland or Kane. Actually, no, wait, they can't because they're also in trouble financially. So that's brilliant. Real Madrid. Who's going to come where are they going to come calling after Benzema? They're going to come calling to Tottenham for Harry Kane or for Haaland. Same as Man City. All the top clubs in the world want this guy to replace the has-beens, which is a Lewandowski. And I won't say Benzema because he did score a hat-trick last night. That'd be stupid of me. But look, Harry Kane is better than them all. They would not be able to do what Harry Kane is doing in the Tottenham team. Could Harry Kane do what they're doing in the Bayern Munich and the Real Madrid team? Of course he can, and he could do it 10 times better. And he'd probably score more goals than them, in my opinion.
So, Dave, you would say that, Harry Kane would have no problem breaking that record that Lewandowski did last season?
No, no problem at all.
Wow.
Okay.
I
Kane
kind
would
of,
rip up the Bundesliga and he'd rip up the La Liga, especially since you get a lot more time on the ball in them leagues as well. Imagine what Harry Kane would do with that time on the ball.
I agree, actually. I think I would say La Liga, he would have all the time in the world. I think the La Liga would actually be unfair if Harry Kane were in it. Maybe in the Bundesliga, you would say the quality defending is not very good, but I would say I don't think you have as much time on the ball. Actually, I would disagree with that quickly because I think the metrics even show that. But I would say, Dave, considering like how high of a line, all those German teams play and everything, you just think like those threaded through balls from Harry Kane would just be absolutely deadly against German teams when you think about it. Any sort of team that tries to pressure that man, any sort of team that tries to track him back when he drops deep, I mean, he's just going to punish you probably in more ways than Lewandowski really punishes you, because I feel like Lewandowski, as much as he's a world-class player, he's just kind of maybe a world-class mercenary, kind of, in my opinion. He's just a mercenary sort of kind of striker, just ruthless finisher, unbelievable athlete. You would probably say maybe credit to Leva. He's had I think he's like 31 or 32. He's still kind of peak fitness. I think he's in fact one of the better in shape players, especially for his age. But I would say Kane, no matter what league he gets moved into, you're going to be seeing the same numbers that he's producing in the Premier League, if not more. I thought that was a good maybe warm up to start with, everybody, just because, TalkSport decided to disrespect the big HK today. But we are going to continue to move on to maybe more relevant topics here, because there is, again, rumors, Sean, of that Harry Kane transfer saga coming back. And Fabrizio Romano said that the feeling around Harry Kane is super positive, but he also said, we all want to play Champions League football here at the club. It's about other players, not just Harry Kane, because we always say Harry Kane wants to play Champions League football, and it's not just Harry Kane. So they're going to fight for it. But the impact of Antonio Conte will be important, says Fabrizio. What's next for Antonio Conte is important to understand, because that's what's next for Harry Kane too. So apparently their futures are tied together. So keep an eye on the situation, because Conte's future is linked to Harry Kane's. And for Tottenham, their strategy is clear. Wait until the end of the season, hope to go to play Champions League football, and then offer Harry Kane a new deal, because they want him to stay for a fresh deal. Sean, will we see a repeat of last summer's media frenzy around Harry Kane's future, especially if, let's say, we don't finish in that Champions League spot?
Yeah, I think we will. I don't think it will be quite as ferocious. I think that Manchester City will probably have moved on. I don't think that they'll come back for a second bite of the apple. But I think what's more important than finishing, if we finish outside the top six, if we don't qualify for any sort of Europe, then 100% then that will amplify all the noise. But I think what's more important than where we finish within the European spaces is what Conte does. I think that Harry Kane's future and Conte's future are inextricably linked. I think if Conte leaves, Kane wants to go. If Conte stays, Kane stays. And the only reason Conte will stay is if he gets backed. And the only reason he gets backed is if we finish in Europe. So it's all kind of like one big giant kind of merry-go-round of required outcomes. If we finish outside of Europe, I think the whole bet's on. I think Kane leaves, Conte leaves. I think the whole shit show begins. But if we finish within Europe and Conte gets back, then I think Harry Kane stays as well.
Europe is in Europa Conference League, UEFA.
Yeah, I was going to say, quick follow-up, Sean. Would making Europa League be enough for Harry Kane?
I think if we make Europa League and it's enough for Conte to stay, then I think Kane stays, right? Yeah. If Europa League is not enough for Conte, it's not enough for Kane. I genuinely think that, I know this is not part of the conversation, but I think that Kane under Conte has gone on to a different level in the last 6 months. And if you look at the stats, this version of Kane versus the Nuno Kane in the first sort of 10, 15 games of the season, they're just night and day. And I think that Kane keeps saying it, how much he respects and admires and learns from Conte, and it's a winner's mentality. He says all the things you want to hear. So if it's good enough for Conte, it's good enough for Kane. That's how I see it.
I love that. Absolutely love that answer, Sean. Dave, same question to you. Are we going to be seeing a repeat of last summer's kind of transfer kind of hysteria, transfer kind of, frenzy around Harry Kane's future, especially, let's say, Dave, if we do finish outside that Champions League spot? Are you maybe worried about Harry Kane's future?
First of all, what I would say, if we want to avoid anything about Harry Kane's future, if Daniel Levy is taking a trip out to the Bahamas this summer, he needs to take Gary Neville with him, and people from Sky Sports after what they done last summer. Look, for me, I think regardless, even if Harry Kane does want to stay, it's going to be media speculation all summer long. The media are going to put a big drive on it. They want their number one England player. They want him out of there. They want him playing at the very top of the English game. So they're going to try and manipulate a move. They're going to use the press like they always do on slow news days when it comes to Tottenham. They'll pluck stuff out of thin air when it comes to Harry Kane's future. Now, what does Harry Kane want to do? Look, for me, I think as long as Conte stays, I think Kane stays. I think, like Sean said, I think you have to look at the way Conte has brought Kane's game to a new level. I think he has, 8 goals in his last 10 games or something like that, something ridiculous.
I believe so.
Yeah.
You know, so Conte has brought Kane's game to a new level, even better than what it was last year under Jose Mourinho. Yes, I know the goals and that don't show up to it, but we have to remember, you know, under Nuno, I'd wipe that out and just focus on what Kane has done since Conte has come in. And look, for me, I do also think it depends on the budget we have to spend and the caliber of players we're looking at. If I was someone up in the boardroom in that club, I'd be bringing Kane up along with Antonio Conte, showing them the budget. I'd be showing them the players we're looking at targeting and bringing in as well, and hopefully delivering on them, because at the end of the day, I think Kane is at the stage of his career where, a bit like where Kieran Trippier was sold the project at Newcastle, which made him make the move. If anyone watched the True Geordie podcast with Kieran Trippier on it, he said that you know, he had a meeting with the owners and everything else in this whole division. So I think we need to do the same with Harry Kane to get him to stay here, and the same with Conte, in my opinion. But look, this summer is absolutely huge for us. I mean, we could end up losing our star man, and yeah, we get 100 million, 100 whatever million, but we've spent that wrong in the past when we've got the Gareth Bale money, you know. So it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work out. But you know, we could have a big summer where we get in some quality players, add to what we already have, and next season is a good season for us. But for me, I think, look, Harry Kane, I think he's happy. I think he's settled where he's living now with his wife, his kids, and stuff like that. Does he want to be uprooting them and going abroad? I don't think so, not yet, because I remember he does have plans to go across to your side of the pond, Jack, to be an NFL kicker. So I think that's the only time he might move his family. No, it's true. It's true. He does.
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he said in that Gary Neville interview that's what he wants to do.
I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
So look, for me, I think that'd be the only move abroad he'll be looking to make. But for me, I think he stays at Tottenham for another year. Hopefully, we avoid what we've seen at the start of this summer. And even if stuff does come out like that, just ignore the media and just accept Harry Kane loves this club. What I don't want from anybody this summer is the same old shit we went through last summer. Harry Kane doesn't love the club, sell him, drop him for Steven Bergwijn, this, that, and the other. Whatever the media cook up this summer, let them cook it up. Just at the back of your mind, just always realize Harry Kane loves this club. And like from Cristiano Romano's words there, he would like to be playing Champions League at Tottenham next season. So it does have indications that he does want to stay.
Yeah, it probably does. There probably are some indications. Just a quick follow-up maybe to both of you, and it's a difficult scenario to maybe grasp. But let's say we finish outside of Europa League and Champions League, but maybe a promise of investment in the summer. Does that still convince maybe Antonio Conte and Harry Kane? We find ourselves maybe in an Arsenal sort of situation. No Europe, no next season, practically get to play every game once a week. Let's say Levy promises, Antonio Conte some sort of investment. Would you say that could still convince Harry Kane to stay, Sean?
If we finish in like 8th place or something.
Let's say 7th. Europa Conference League again.
I mean, look, the bottom deucer makes a good point here, because it might be a moot point, right? Like I feel like Manchester City have moved on, and I don't know where else he'll go. I don't know. Like Dave said earlier, Bayern Munich have got no money. Barcelona, Real Madrid.
It's all skeptical there.
Yeah, I don't think so. Paris. Would Harry Kane want to go to Paris? I don't think so. Listen, I think given all those things, there's no, and Manchester United, like, they're just as flip floppy and much of a disaster
I
zone
would
as
say
anyone
he
else.
wouldn't be
Right?
so confident heading there right now.
And he wouldn't go to Chelsea. He would never go to Chelsea. He would never go to Arsenal. So I don't think he would do that to Tottenham. So I think that, yeah, like even if we do finish 7th there, and if there's a promise, and obviously we'll finish 7th, and then the very next day it's window shopping, right? It's time to get going. So if all that happens very quickly and there's a massive bumper payout, and like I say earlier, if Conte can be convinced to spend the money and Paratici gets cooking, then
Kane follows.
maybe Harry Kane gives. But you know what the one problem is though? Even if you get to that situation where Harry Kane, we're in that scenario, I don't think Harry Kane signs a new contract. He might stay, but he doesn't sign a new contract. And then
great answer.
You end of the season, end of that season, he's got 1 year left. If he doesn't sign next summer, he can disappear for free 6 months later.
I completely agree. I actually would say to that very difficult question, that's exactly what would happen. I think he probably stays just because, like, what actual offers come in, that Levy would accept, and that, really just, and I think Harry Kane probably knows that himself. I think what would really be the case is his head would, probably be quite down, and I think, he wouldn't really feel as confident about next season. But I agree with you, Sean. I actually would say there's probably no chance he really re-signs that new contract. He probably
not
just
even
wait
if they make Champions League football this year, guys.
I know, but the question was, Dave, if we
yeah.
finish outside of Champions League and Europa League, does Harry Kane still sign the contract? Does he still stay? Well, what Sean was saying, Dave, is that if there is investment, Harry Kane might actually just find himself staying no matter what. He might just stay no matter what. But the guarantee of a new contract is not happening if we finish outside.
Because then he's thinking, do that one last season, see what happens. If it all goes tits up, I've got 6 months, and then I'll be 31. Then I can go and sign, and my future for the next 4 generations of my kids are sorted out, because I'll be able to sign on a free contract in January with the highest bidder, whoever that is. And rather than them paying Tottenham 100 million or 50 million, they'll pay me
his way out
40 million.
That is his way out as well. It's not going to probably be a transfer fee. More likely would have to be some sort of free transfer that would happen, and that would mean whatever happens this next season and this season. Sorry, Dave.
I think if we don't get Europe whatsoever, I think Kane will look to maybe get out if there is no Europe. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a gentleman's agreement in place that if we didn't make Europe this season, that Harry Kane would be allowed to leave. Now, I hope Harry, if there is something like that in place, that Harry Kane hasn't fallen for it. But no, look, I think if we don't make Europe this season, I think we're in big trouble as a club, to be honest with you. I think Conte walks. I think Kane goes. Then you're looking at where do you go as a manager? Where do you go for a manager? What sort of players are going to want to come here with no Europe? You're actually going as far back as going to Martin Yole days, where you're bringing in somebody hoping that they will, bring in young talent that can get you up to a certain level, and then bringing in managers step by step to be able to build upon that, which nobody wants. So for me, I just think I don't think he signs a new contract if we don't get Europe whatsoever. I think he definitely holds out. But look, at the end of the day, I think the only destination he can go to is City, especially in the Premier League. Maybe Newcastle, they'll have the money, but does he fancy going up there? I doubt it, to be honest with you, with where they are right now. I know that they can come in and triple his wages tomorrow if they wanted to. They can offer the 150 million up front if they wanted to. But I don't think Kane goes to Newcastle. But I think if City stumped up the money that we were asking, I think it's a different question than we need to be asking.
Yeah, it is a different question we need to be asking. To be fair to Harry Kane, I don't know, Dave. I think if any way he's getting out of this club, I could actually see what Sean is saying. Maybe it just ends up happening in some sort of free transfer of some kind, where he really just kind of sits at the club until he just lets it run out. Or if Levy knows that Harry Kane is letting it run out, maybe then Levy just pushes for some sort, or he lowers his asking price, and maybe then we are able to get something in. But to be fair,
I think that all depends though if we have someone in replacement for him, because even though say if it does run it down to 1 year left on his contract, then it's like we either have to take something or else he goes for free. We can't run the risk of letting him go for pittance if we don't have somebody ready-made in place. So it's an
all of this, in my opinion, is all like a hypothetical in the world where we finish 8th. And I would bet my left leg that we will not finish 8th. What I would
I wouldn't bet it yet, Charlie.
No,
wouldn't bet it yet.
My left leg's not the best anyway. It's injury prone. I'm happy for it to be it has to be sold on a blackjack game. What I would like to flip the if you don't mind, Jack, just quickly just to turn it from a negative like wow that's horrible. In a world where we finish 4th and Conte stays and there's the signing money, the transfer kitty, all that stuff. In a world where it's dream world finish to the season, is the best summer signing that we get this summer Harry Kane on a new 4-year contract, or do we outperform that by getting somebody even better under Paratici's work?
That is interesting, Sean. I would probably answer that. I know Dave needs to as well, but I would answer that depends on the signings that come in. But then again, you're getting like an even more motivated Harry Kane, which who knows what like levels that would produce, to be fair. Like he might even then actually break the records that he did under Jose, as well. You probably would say like he's looking absolutely revitalized and rejuvenated under Antonio Conte. And just a manager did that. Manager did that. Imagine if there was actually Champions League. Imagine if there was investment in the summer. Let's not even just rid investment in the summer. Imagine if there is Champions League. Imagine if, he sees a full season of training under Antonio Conte. He has a full year to try to achieve something with him. I would say Harry Kane, you might even get double what you're probably getting right now in terms of productivity, as well as, like you said, Sean, are we maybe seeing a better version of Harry Kane than we did actually under Jose as well? As much as the numbers were good under Jose,
100%.
A lot of people, rightfully so, I think, are seeing a different kind of version of that Harry Kane than the one under Jose. And I'd like to think that only those results would improve even further if he had that, Champions League kind of swagger behind him. But Dave, what do you think to Sean's question? It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question for me. Look, obviously you're going to make signings and hopefully they come in and impact in positions that we need them to, in certain positions that we need to strengthen. But if you tie Harry Kane down on the contract, it is the best signing you can make this summer. And let me tell you why, because there's nobody out there in the world that can do anything that can do what he does, unless you're willing to go and spend over 100 million, which we're not going to do. So it's the best signing you can make. If you're looking for a guy that is now entering his prime at the very top of his game is in terms of all-round play, dropping deep, chasing people back. What other top-class striker do you see that has the desire to run back after somebody? You don't see it. They just usually pass it on, let someone else take it. He can also drop back, put balls in for the left wing back, like we've seen Reguilon overlapping a number of times out on the right-hand side for Son, for Kulu. For me, it's his all-round game. You can't buy what Kane is producing at the minute. So for me, I do, to answer Sean's question, I think it's the best signing we can make this summer.
To be fair, and I would even say maybe because my initial answer, Sean, was like maybe with investment, you could say maybe some sort of transfer we would make, but I think that's all up in the air in terms of what we actually get through the door. So I would say, Sean, I think you're right. Could actually be the best signing of the summer, and I absolutely love it. But the bottom dude is saying there are only 2 realistic teams for Kane, City and United. City have moved on, as Sean has said, and that leaves United then left. Teams outside England can't afford him. Not many options out there for Kane. And to be fair, Sean, I'd say you're absolutely on form because you not only answered my question, but you also answered the super chat from the bottom Duda that didn't even read aloud yet. So I would say
have
fair
City
play.
Really moved on though. Have City moved on? Like the only reason why they went with the way they have this year, like people are praising Pep for, look, it's revolutionary. He's not playing with a striker, but it's not. He tried to buy Harry Kane in the summer, they just couldn't get him. Are they holding out?
They said they've moved on.
They said they have, but I don't believe them. I don't believe them.
Yeah, true.
I just don't believe them. For me, I think they're just holding out. For me, I don't think City just want to rush in and buy any striker just to fill a position. I think they are holding out to go for number one because with Harry Kane, it'll suit them with the English quota. Registering for the Premier League. So it definitely suit them in that. In terms of that, it'll suit them for the goals that he'll probably bang in 50 a season with City. Probably add 20 assists to that as well. So for me, I think I just don't think City are done yet. I really don't. I think they're holding
interesting.
out.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe they're learning perhaps, from the Jack Grealish sort of scenario as well. But I don't know. I think for me personally, Dave, I feel like Pep Guardiola somehow, like, I don't know, he seems to love himself even more for not having a number 9 in his team. You know, he gets even more of an inflated ego. So we'll see if he'll continue that again this summer. To be fair to Bottom Duda, just to finally answer, I feel like if Harry Kane has more clubs available to him, that would be when he's available on a free. If he's going to go for a transfer fee, I only see, like Sean said, like 1 or 2 teams, if not only one, being able to basically bid for him. But big up to Bottom Duda. Really do appreciate it.
Can I just ask you guys before you move on?
Yeah.
Just so I'm probably a little bit out of date, I guess. How many of the major teams right now need to replace a striker of world-class level around Europe? I know Man City do.
Yeah.
Right. But Manchester United probably need one as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paris, because Mbappe's leaving, right? So do Paris Saint-Germain need one? Or
Yeah, it depends on what they go for in that scenario. Yeah, that could technically be a striker or some other winger that they would go for, but definitely a goal scorer. Definitely a goal scorer.
Yeah.
In the case of
Barcelona are good. They're quite good up front, aren't they?
Yeah, but they got Aubameyang and Depay now. I actually think they're covered weirdly. They also have the useless Luke de Jong. Real Madrid, but like Kareem last night, you know, just putting his name in the history books, they'll probably think he has another 20 years.
Yeah.
With Serie A clubs like Juventus, just blew the money on Dusan
now. Yeah.
And I don't think any other club there is rich enough to really buy Harry Kane. Bundesliga, no clubs have any money there because it's just 50% ownership. Yeah.
So there's
and a lot of those strikers, like, I don't know, Lewandowski, like, I think he's still going to stay for maybe another year or 2.
Yeah, he's still got a year in him, hasn't he? So there's probably like what 4 or 5 clubs that have got money that need a striker, and if you exclude Harry Kane, there's only like what Haaland. There's only an Mbappe. There's only a couple of players that are of world-class level right now that are ready to be purchased by the highest bidder over the next season.
Yeah. And to be fair, and actually what made our job probably a lot harder actually is that I don't think Harry Kane is going, but with Dusan Vlahovic already moving, that means that like maybe a potential world-class striker you could take a risk on that isn't established yet, maybe as world-class, is now already off the table. He's already off the table. So who do you really sign then? Like, then you find yourself in that, like David was saying, you find yourself in that Bale scenario where like can't really exactly replace like for like because there's nothing out there. So then you run the risk of like trying to buy 3 or 4 players to try to replace that one player. And believe me, that seems to never go right, especially with this club. That seems to never go right.
Yeah.
Good question.
Like, we'd be mad to sell Harry Kane. We'd be absolutely mental to sell him.
No, 100%. I was just about to say that, Shawnee, because we have to understand what we have on our hands here. Look, you know, for me, the way I see it right now is there's very few world-class strikers that play up front anymore. Yes, you can get strikers that can put away goals, but for me, there's very few world-class out-and-out strikers, you know, that you can use as your target men if you want to, if you want to say that. Like, look, back in the day with me watching football, you had tons of them growing up, you know, right down through the teams. But now it's a dying breed to be able to get a striker that can hold up the ball on his own, that can create his own chances, that can shoot from distance or finish inside the box, that can get his head onto teams, that can play people in, that can switch play, that'll get back and help defensively. What we have right now is a rare breed in football. There's not very many world-class players that can do that of his size. Back in the day, me growing up, you had them 10 a penny. You had nearly 4 at every single fucking club, you know, with me growing up. But now it's an absolute rarity. And we have to understand what we have with Harry Kane is rare. Life after Harry Kane, look, there's always going to be Tottenham after Harry Kane.
Yeah.
But you're going to find it very, very hard to fill what he does once he leaves this club or he retires. Because it's a dying breed, that quality of striker now.
Yeah, they're it's just harder, I think, to be a world-class striker, I would probably say at this day and age, just because the defending is very different than it is now. Also, center backs are like light years quicker than even strikers now. It kind of feels like, I mean, we see Van Dijk run, he's like faster. Like Lautaro Martinez just gave up when he was running alongside him. That just shows the quality of center backs that I think even exists now. So, Dave, you could say, I agree that world-class strikers are like a dying breed, or maybe just a bit more kind of rare. But that also probably just has to do maybe because defending levels and, tactical kind of, situations have just, kind of maybe just made it harder for world-class strikers to really be produced. But let's move on, everybody, because this still is kind of all tied into some sense of investment. The Sun, which, take with a grain of salt, reports the North London club is in discussions with several possible suitors regarding a long-term agreement over a sponsorship, perhaps 20 years for around 25 million pounds a year with brands like Nike, current shirt sponsor AIA, and HSBC, all interested in being the stadium naming rights over a 20-year deal. Does the summer transfer budget, Sean, depend on us selling the stadium naming rights? And is that why there is a big effort behind the scenes to get it done? Do you feel like this transfer budget, this, investment into Conte is kind of tied into this stadium naming rights situation?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, mate. So I did a little Tottenham Walk thing about this. I think that given that the Conte meeting with Levy, reassure me, bro, tell me we're going to have money to spend, blah, 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 blah. If that happened, and it happened well, then maybe Daniel Levy's thinking, we need to crack on with this thing because it's 25 million on the table and it's been there for 3 or 4 years, 25 million a season. And what's interesting, though, I actually think now, what's happened in the last 2 weeks, it could actually be more than that. If you look, I did some analysis. So the number one stadium naming rights deal that's just been signed, was signed in November, was the LA or the Staples Center in Los Angeles was signed by Crypto.com, and they are doing $700 million over 20 years, so $35 million a pop a season, which is about 30 million quid, 31 million quid, whatever, with the exchange rates. But because if you look around the highest caliber stadiums, the highest caliber teams around Europe, a lot of them right now are affiliated with ownership models that have questionable sources of revenue from countries with questionable, leadership. Look at what's happening with Chelsea. They've just lost their shirt sponsor. They've lost their other sponsor with the who does the training gear and on the sleeve. Like, people are running a mile away from Chelsea, and I don't think it's going to stop necessarily there. Like, I do think that there's now, for the first time ever, there's going to be this microscope around ownership. I don't think you're going to see oil money coming in, or Chinese money coming in, or Russian money coming into the Premiership anytime soon. But I think not just because of what's happening with Russia, but, and all of the oil companies, like, Saudi Arabia, they're bombing Yemen, and China got their, the Uyghur stuff, which is kind of genocidal.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of focus on this. But on top of that, I think the sponsorships that are already established with some of the clubs out there are going to run a mile. And whatever, say what you will about Daniel Levy and ENIC, and I'm not for a second suggesting that the ownership of they're not perfect, but they're nowhere near, like, their record is relatively clean compared to the guys who own the other clubs. So I actually think that some of that sponsorship money might end up leaving some of the other clubs, and you might find a better bidding war for some of these clubs that still want to be associated with football clubs, but a club that has a relatively clean record when it comes to all of the other stuff. And Tottenham certainly is one of those. So I do think, sorry to go off on a rant there, Jack, Dave, but I think that whilst they're saying it's 25 million, I think you actually might see now a few more sponsorship deals, or a few more interested parties, not just Amazon, not just Nike, but I think you might see a couple of other big brands that might want to get involved in the bidding war, and we might be able to get 28, 29, 30 million. There's no reason why Staples Center should be any bigger than Tottenham Hotspur, considering all of the off football activities we can handle there. Is it going to be crucial to the budget? I don't think it will be crucial, but I think it's going to be every penny of it will go into the pie, into the pot, and so it's going to be a big deal. Yeah. Sorry, I went on a big rant there. Sorry, mate.
Well, you're not done here, Sean, because a quick follow-up. Do you feel like...
Just quickly, I just want to say, Colin, hope your surgery went well. Yesterday, my man.
Yeah.
Keep him well.
That's also very, very scary surgery, I must say, considering it's a very, I don't know, it just sounds like very painful breakage, but pick yourself up, Colin. Hopefully it's all looking good for the future, my man. But just a quick follow-up, Sean, with this Chelsea situation, I'm not sure if you mentioned that, but do you feel like maybe then that would mean even more potential sponsors, like more kind of a bidding war for it? Because Chelsea aren't going to get a stadium sponsor anytime soon. That means maybe more clubs actually might flock to another London club. With Chelsea being out of the race, they might look to another London club, to put their name on the stadium.
Yeah, so like Free, who's the mobile phone operator that left Chelsea.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're not global, so I don't think they're going to benefit from the exposure of boxing game or concerts and stuff to the same extent. But AIA are a massive insurance company who've left Chelsea, so they're global for sure. They are massively global. I did, 100%, Jack. Simple, short answer. 100%. I do think that because of what's happening, not just with Chelsea, but I think there's going to be a lot of after effect of this. I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen. I think Newcastle, ripple effect. I think people might look at like the Newcastle, PSG, Everton. There's 5 clubs in the Premiership that have got owners that have questionable records. There's loads in Europe, loads, and so. I think that Tottenham look a pretty decent.
We look like
clean.
Nice guys.
Yeah, we do. I think that might. The one thing I don't want Daniel Levy to do is to think the way I'm thinking and then get too greedy and then start pushing the price up too much. Get the job done, Daniel. Don't get greedy. Just get it done, bro. Because we need money in the summer.
Yeah. I just hope it doesn't get to his head. But Dave, is now the right time, do you feel like, for this naming rights to get done, given maybe Chelsea's problems? So the same follow-up I kind of gave Sean there. Do you feel like this is an excellent opportunity for Levy to maybe finally put pen to paper on whichever one gives them the best offer?
Sorry, say that again, Jack. I was distracted by the comments.
It's all good. And Chelsea's, Dave, the Chelsea situation, they won't be able to get any, new naming rights or anything. I believe, a lot of it's been even stripped away from them. Like you even said, Dave, that could mean then that a lot of sponsors that wanted to sponsor a London team have then, have fewer options. So then Tottenham would be the one. Do you feel like maybe then is now the perfect time for Daniel Levy to finally put pen to paper on that deal?
Yeah, of course, it's.
Is this the best opportunity for him?
Look, Arsenal have already sold theirs. Theirs is called the Emirates. You know what I mean? So they can't sell that. So for us, we're the only ones in London, which is the capital of England. It's prime real estate as well. And not only that, you have to remember, that ownership, that name that goes onto the stadium, that's going to be there for every single home game that season. That's going to be there for the Super Bowl that apparently they're trying to get. That's going to be there for the 2 Lady Gaga concerts that have been announced, and every other concert's coming, any other boxing fights that are coming. So that name is going to be absolutely plastered everywhere worldwide. The NFL that comes over. So, in a way, you're kind of getting it. You're kind of getting promotion in America for when the NFL is here. You're getting promotion in England and all across the world for the Premier League and your concerts. So it makes sense to put your name on the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And for me, there's no better time for them to do it. Look, you can't do it with Chelsea. They had plans to build a new stadium. That's completely gone now. That's not happening. Like I said, Arsenal has already called the Emirates. You're not going to Fulham or Selhurst Park and looking for naming rights, are you? So, Tottenham is the only place to come, in my opinion, and it makes sense. It makes sense. My only worry is that the summer transfer budget and the big spending we were promised in January, I think that does hinge on being able to get these rights in place, in my opinion. I think you get them rights in place, we can have a very good summer this season. And from what I understand, there's a massive drive behind the scenes to be able to get this done. They were talking to people before the pandemic, but with the pandemic hitting, stuff like that, a lot of businesses were pulling sponsorships and stuff like that because it just didn't make financial sense when you don't know how long it's going to go on for. But now the fact that it's all kind of over and done with, now that the world is moving on and the money is starting to rotate again and stuff like that, I think you will see someone come in and buy the naming rights.
I think, to be fair, I think that's actually the best time for Daniel Levy to probably put pen to paper. In fact, actually waiting this long, maybe you could say actually perhaps benefited us, and that's maybe to a degree why he's waited so long. I don't think it was for this scenario to happen with Chelsea, but he really has been, waiting quite patiently for perhaps the best deal to come through. And I think I'm just going to answer maybe a question of my own here, which had to do with where will that money from the sponsorship deal get actually invested into? There are some worries that it would go into the stadium, just go back towards building the stadium. Sean, stop me here if I'm wrong or anything, but I actually am skeptical about that, because I think we've been told plenty of times before that the stadium is the paying for the stadium is very structured and very planned out for the future. Almost the money is essentially there to pay for it in a structured time period. So for this naming rights money to go towards paying that sooner, it just doesn't really make sense, because if it's already been portioned out to how they will pay it in the future, it doesn't really make sense for them just to be like, oh, well, we'll just pay it ahead of time. It would make more sense for them to invest it back in the squad. Of course, what makes sense isn't exactly what Tottenham always do. But I would say any sort of skepticism that Levy would put that back somewhere else, I think is.
Can I throw a question out there to both of you guys, actually, if that's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it is okay because it's the Irish Hotspur channel, of course it is. But just to be polite. But look, guys, what I'm going to say is,
love it.
Would you rather Tottenham maybe panic and take a lesser fee than what they could command for it, just to get that money in and help initially? Or would you rather them hold out and get the very best deal possible? Because we're in a prime position in a way where we can kind of charge what we want, because there's no other real stadium in the capital that is going to give you that sort of exposure like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So what would you rather do if you're in that position?
Sean, I think you should answer that first, to be fair. I think it's a really good question.
Okay, well, just before I do, just quickly, just to clarify, just to confirm, Jack, what you're saying, the debt we have on that long-term debt that was reorganized, that's structured debt. So the fees it would take to restructure it wouldn't be worth doing it. So there's 25 million quid a year in interest,
it's just established,
and whatever this, it is, So any money that comes in for any deal
be like paying like the next 6 months of rent, to a degree.
It might. He might do it, but he can put it into a pool, but he can't pay it off. Like it's like a mortgage. You can't usually just pay off more than your mortgage because you're flush 1 month. The bank wants you to pay it off monthly, so they get the interest as organized. In terms of, should we just get the deal done, Dave? I think that I don't know much about American basketball stuff. Is that the Staples Center is basketball, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for the LA Lakers and LA teams. Yeah. Yeah,
so I don't know what else is going on at the Staples Center, but for them to get $35 million that's
huge.
Year. But is there more games? Is basketball?
No, actually, I would say, Sean, even the fact that they got $35 million for that is actually quite impressive, considering that the NBA, at the end of the day, doesn't have the same purchasing power that obviously the Premier League and world football does. Because in the NBA and American sports, you don't spend $40 million and then sign the contract of a player. You just sign the player on a contract. You just sign the player. You don't pay extra money or anything like that, like you do over here, which is actually, I think, quite novel to Americans, because we're like, holy crap, you have to pay that much, for a player? That's absurd. And to be fair, then, if he's making $35 million a year where the NBA has less purchasing power, that's actually quite shocking to say, because that means they would be actually quite cash flow.
How many games are played in
I think it's something around 96. I think 96 games are played a year.
Okay. So that's like whatever, 2, 3 or 4 times more.
They play a lot. They
play
like twice a week. They usually play about twice a week.
Yeah. So listen, I don't know. To answer your question direct, Dave, it's an interesting one. I think that he could definitely get more. The biggest deal in football is Atletico Madrid is 24 or 23 million euros. There were a couple of Turkish clubs, Besiktas, and I forget the other one. I thought they were higher than when I originally saw the detail. I thought they were, competitive right at the top, but they're actually 11 million. You've got the Alliance Arena in Germany that gets about 18 million. And then in terms of big football stadiums, the other biggest one is the stadium where the New York Giants and Jets play. But that was originally touted to be $25 million a year, and they actually only settled for $17 million. So listen, I don't want Daniel Levy to take this opportunity to be greedy. We're nickeling and diming here. You're not going to turn 25 million into 50 million. Doesn't work. There's no chance that it's worth that. If it's 25 or 30, okay, an extra 5 million a year would be fantastic. But if you're going to miss it for a biscuit, then you can end up screwing up the plans. Daniel Levy, you've got an opportunity now to get something done at the price that you wanted a year ago. Don't think, the situation's changed, therefore my price has changed. I understand what he's thinking before he even does it, but just get the deal done at 25 and let's call it something cool, the Amazon Arena, and then everyone's happy. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And to be fair, even just what I think, I can't say the name, but Jude put in there, to be fair, like, Staples Center put on for concerts and everything as well. Like, you could see maybe a similar deal be structured for Spurs because of all the events that, Daniel Levy can keep holding. But the bottom dude is saying Conte likes Rudiger and Emerson Palmieri. I believe that's that Brazilian left wing back, or he's actually Italian now. That's right. That Italian left wing back that was at Chelsea at some stage. He's saying, do you think we should try signing one of them with Chelsea's current situation? Will they come to Spurs? With Emerson, I'm not so sure. I kind of feel like he's a good squad player, but I don't really think he would really improve us in any sort of stretch. I'd rather just keep Sessegnon, to be fair. In the case of Rudiger, I would say, he's a contentious figure, as you saw in the comments, Dave. A lot of people are not kind to Rudiger in these parts, considering what he's done to Sonny and also the shithousery that guy continues to give us as well. To be fair, I don't really see Rudiger ever signing for a club like us. I don't really even see Emerson signing for a club like us. But maybe if there were to be a Chelsea player to come to Spurs, that's difficult. I could see maybe one of their forwards potentially coming to Spurs, actually. Who knows? Maybe an English player, like maybe Hudson-Odoi. Let's say Hudson-Odoi is just super upset, maybe doesn't like, the playing time he's given. He could maybe come. But I would say, I feel like we're more likely to sign like one of their forwards or something than one of their center backs. Because Christensen is already on the way to Barcelona at the bottom. Thiago Silva is just world class, and I don't think he's just also so old. Rudiger, I think, is going to go to a big club while he's in this prime of his career, and then I don't know, Azpilicueta I think is also headed to Barcelona. But good question, my man, really good question. And to be fair, I think it's more likely we sign one of their strikers or one of their forwards. But he also says, I see Kane moving to Inter or Milan when he is 35. Serie A is the place for players above 33. Till then, Kane will win trophies here very soon. Dave, do you see Harry Kane with the Rossoneri?
I don't think he'll go to Italy, to be honest with you. I think once he finishes at Spurs, might do it a year, 2 years in the MLS, and then look to get into being an NFL kicker. Like he's already said. I
can't believe that's true. Is that really true? He said that, didn't he?
Yeah, he said it. He said it a number of times. He wants
so
to
cool.
That is so cool. 1 year as an NFL kicker, and that's where he's going.
Do NFL kickers ever get mashed? Do they ever get smashed by like the big fellas?
No,
not very often. Maybe once. No. Okay. In their career, maybe once in their career. So at that rate, Harry Kane's already retired it though. So, maybe he's just looking for that bit of physical contact. I would say though, maybe Romero might join him, because I would say Romero probably likes that physical contact as well.
Romero would love that sport. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Harry Kane, if he ever were to go another league, Serie A does make sense. It's a very competitive league still, like has a similar sort of top six kind of structure, kind of like the Premier League does with really big powerhouse sort of clubs. But then again, like maybe he might be a bit more attracted to a club that actually has a real shot at winning the Champions League, which is more or less maybe the Real Madrids of the world, you could say, and maybe others. And even maybe, I don't know, I don't think a German club would ever go for him, but maybe what might be more in mind for him is potentially to actually try to win. I don't know. It depends. Maybe he might already have won things with Spurs and he actually does want to wind down in the Serie A. But if that isn't the case, I actually more likely see him maybe picking a club that actually he feels like he can maybe win one last thing, maybe potentially with. And I'm not sure if that would be an Italian club, maybe just a domestic league title. Maybe that's all he wants. It's just a domestic league title like Kieran Trippier got, maybe.
Look, it is a fair point that a lot of strikers do head out there, when they're about over 30, 33, 34, they kind of have a bit of
get an extra 5 years in the Serie A.
I would say a mini renaissance, have a good season or two and then they bow out gracefully. But I don't know. I just don't see Harry Kane going to Italy. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't really either. I think it's either going to be Spain or staying in England for the rest of it. David, all the way from California, absolute legend, saying safe travels, Jack. Have a great time. If you see Winky in Manchester, slap and send him back to London. I certainly will, David. I certainly will, and really do appreciate the safe travels and the well wishes, my man. I'm looking forward to it. nice kind of, I would say early evening sort of flight, taking a bit of a layover in Amsterdam, and then going to be arriving in Manchester. And I will try to go undercover, super Spurs secret agent mode, maybe in the Manchester pubs, and see maybe what happens. But
are you going to the game? Are you, Jack?
I unfortunately cannot, but it's also the day that I arrive. It's the day that I arrive in Manchester as well. So it'd be kind of a quick turnaround. I think would be a bit difficult. But
are you going to the West Ham game or the Brighton game?
I am going to the West Ham game. The West Ham game is mine.
I'll see you then. I'm going there.
I will be there for pints beforehand, pints after.
I'll be there all day. Irish Hotspur field trip. It's the Irish Hotspur field trip. But David, really do appreciate it, my man. And I'd be happy to send it back to Manchester. In fact, I'd just be happy to give Harry Winks the wrong directions, my man. Even, he's probably best person to ask for wrong directions, actually. Best person to ask. So
I swear to God, if I turn up for these 2 games and this guy starts, I will go absolutely ballistic. I'd have to consider just getting a flight home. I don't think I could sit through it again. I really don't. I've been lucky enough that's the first game I've been to where I've actually seen Winks play, live. But it's definitely not something I'm in a hurry to experience again. So, if the team sheet comes out an hour before the Brighton game and he's on it, I think I'll be on the next flight home. And I'm deadly serious.
You'll just see one man. Let's think in the moment the match starts. You'll just see one man walking up the stairs out of the stadium. But we are going to move on. Big up, Gogama. Good to see you.
And Jude as well. Island Life, Side Dancer, THFC, loads of them coming in. Big yourselves up, everyone.
Sean, you were alluding to this earlier. This whole idea, let's say it's perfect scenario for Levy. Would he actually do what we all have been asking him to do? Maybe he then just says, perhaps, the times have changed, and, I'm going to hold out longer. Do you feel like, what I'm trying to say here, Sean, is that Champions League qualification, comes with that sort of conventional wisdom of comes with more money, comes with more spending power on maybe better players, right? All these sort of things that we have said that Champions League guarantees us a better chance at, challenging in the transfer market, better chance at keeping players to stay, etc. I feel like while this may all be true, do you think Levy will actually see it this sort of way, the same way that we're kind of seeing it with Champions League qualification?
I think he has to. I think
he can't not. Yeah,
I could be wrong. I could be slightly out on the numbers here. I'm not massively out. Maybe by a standard deviation of a couple of bits, right? But I think that if you go deep into the Europa League with your prize money and your
it's 20 million or something, right?
Well, with the prize money and the TV money, if you go deep, you can make about 90 million more between 70 and 90 million in additional revenues for going deep into the Europa League. If you go deep into the Champions League, you can get up Chelsea made 170 million last year out of the Champions League, right? So double. Essentially, it's double, right? So not that Tottenham are guaranteed. And this, the only caveat that I'd say is this is what, again, trying to get into Daniel Levy's mind. If you qualify for the Champions League, I think you're going to get at least 60 million, right? You get at least that from the home and away game to the Champions League and the prize money and in the TV revenue. And even if you come third, you still drop into the Europa League anyway. So, but what I think Daniel Levy's rationale with the kind of risk-averse guy that he is, I think he's the sort of person that would say, well, do I want to spend all of the money because Tottenham have qualified this year, but are we going to qualify next year? And if you go and blow a lot of your money now on buying players that are of that 250 grand a week caliber that cost 50 million, and then you fail early in the Champions League and then you drop out altogether and you have a bad season like we did in 2020, then you're left holding the baby that you can't afford, right? So I think that's the way Daniel Levy will look. But to answer your question I'm sorry, man, I'm rambling tonight. But
no, it's just us three tonight, man. You can go as long as you want.
This is what it's all about, my man. Go off and say whatever you want to say. I mean, there's no restriction. Say what you want, my man. Go off on one.
Well, so I think that he has to read the room. He's been very poor at reading the room. When you look at what's happened with Chelsea and all that stuff, you kind of go, well, better the devil you know. We've been saying better the devil you know, and now we know, right? It is better the devil you know, at least temporarily. I actually have a theory that in 2 or 3 years' time, Chelsea will be better off than they are currently because for a different. I won't talk about that, but I think that Daniel Levy has to read the room and go, okay, Conte needs it. He'll walk if I don't commit. But also the fans demand it. And if it all pulls apart, if Conte leaves, Kane leaves, if the whole house of cards that Tottenham, the foundation is built on, then it all falls apart if this doesn't go and he's got one last chance. And I'm someone that's defended him for 6 months on your channel. And I think that I've said it already. If he doesn't show up and do the business in the summer and give Conte what he wants, whatever that looks like, then I will be joining certain people at certain protests because this is his chance to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah.
And that starts with him, whether it's Champions League or not. Just if he does finish in the Champions League, to answer your question directly, then he has to put his money in his money where his mouth hasn't been and go for it.
And maybe that's been Levy's problem, you could probably say, is that he's yet to really prove people wrong. And, this is probably a golden opportunity for him to do that. But for you, Dave, like we were saying and like we were discussing, Champions League qualification comes with all that revenue, all that sort of, extra cash bonuses that Sean was expertly kind of giving us. Do you think Daniel Levy sees that sort of extra cash, that extra money in the same way that we would see it? Or do you think maybe he would see maybe the usefulness of it in a different way?
I think he definitely, look, if we do sell the stadium naming rights and the money comes in, look, I think we're all going to have to accept that a certain proportion of it is going to have to go off to pay some of the stadium loans. But I would like to see the majority chunk of that money being used for transfers. But I do see maybe Daniel Levy wanted to use it in a different way, which is wrong. Because for me, you put the right players on the pitch, you put the right team out there, that, you get better and better on the pitch, the more revenue you have coming in, and then the more revenue you have to fix other problems. Look, there's so much going on at Tottenham that needs to be fixed. You have the scouting department. That's going to be a massive overhaul. That's not going to be cheap to do. You need a fucking massive squad rebuild. You have so much debts that you need to pay off as well, bank loans and everything else. So that money is going to have to be stretched across a few different things. But the majority of it has to be allocated to players. Do I think Daniel Levy will see it that way? Probably not. I don't think he will. But what I will say is that my hopes is on Paratici, speaking to Daniel Levy and saying, look, this is how much of that chunk I need this summer, and you need to prioritise this, or else Conte and Kane goes. So Paratici does have a bit of a negotiating chip there that he can use with the Kane and Conte thing. But look, of course, Daniel Levy's going to have other ideas for it. What I don't want to see is it being used for Levy land, hotels and cinemas. Yes, I get the hotels or the cinemas and the apartment has to be built apart as a part of the agreement that they got to be able to build that stadium and part of the regeneration of the area sort of thing. Yeah. And I get that they have to be built. But what we don't want is that money being used for that, because, again, then that's helping their pockets. It's not really helping the club. So for me, the majority of that has to go towards the playing squad. But I do fear that, look, I can accept that some of it will have to go back to paying the stadium, some of it will have to go into the scouting department. But I just don't want any more of the money going into bricks and mortar, man. I really can't take it.
To be fair,
sorry, just to add to it, like Sean said, this summer tells us all which way Daniel Levy which way this club is going to go, what Daniel Levy's real plans are. Everything up until now, look, everyone knows where I stand. I have been Levy out. I always have been. I was the very first one to actually dedicate a whole stream to what they have done to Tottenham back when we had Jose Mourinho. But what I do think in terms of the January transfer window, we had a good window and it's left us in a very good position this summer. And that's why I'm willing to wait till the summer. In terms of protest, look, when I'm over there, if they're going on, I will get down. If it doesn't go the direction I want it to go this summer. We also have to understand, I also live in Ireland, and there's not very much that I can do either.
And to be fair, I actually would say stadium naming rights get done in the summer. Let's say Champions League qualification, Europa League qualification happens. I mean, I think Sean basically calculated that could be close to 40 to 50 million, just right up, in the table right there. Of course, not every single penny of that, maybe goes back into maybe the transfer budget. At the same time, though, I'd like to actually think maybe a larger portion of it would go into it than maybe people would think, because like Sean and I think we're agreeing on is that I know maybe some of it could go back towards maybe loans that need to be paid, but I don't know. It depends on how much we can trust them. But it's supposed to be structured in a sort of way where it's not.
Don't worry about the stadium debt. It's structured. It's already accounted
but no,
for.
but then to play devil's advocate as well, though, we've seen, less investment, in times when we were told that, it wasn't supposed to affect the transfer budget. So it kind of has cut both ways, to be fair. So it's really, like we said, it's all kind of boiling up to, will we be proven right about Daniel Levy, or will we be proven? I don't know. I don't think you could say.
What I will say is,
but like you could say, maybe he might, surprise us this summer. Maybe he might surprise us.
How much money do you think we need? Oh, sorry, Dave, you were going to say something. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to say, I have another quick question for you guys. Do you think that in building that stadium, that getting the name rights on that stadium, that was incorporated in the plan to be able to pay off some of these, some of the stadium costs? Do you think, Sean?
No, it wasn't mentioned in that report. So who knows? Like, you never see the detailed cash flow forecast. You never would, right? But
yeah,
I'm guessing that look. He's a smart businessman. He must have a plan A, plan B, plan C, depending on where we finish and what happens with certain outcomes, right? What happens if Ndombele does well? What happens if he doesn't? What happens if Lo Celso does well? What happens if he doesn't? What happens with Kulusevski?
He's risk averse anyway. Like,
he's risk averse. Like, people that are risk averse generally plan out how their day's going to plan based on how well they brush their teeth in the morning. Plan A, if I got all the plaque off, versus plan B, I don't get a full chance to brush. Like, I genuinely think that he should have, and so should his team, have factored in a whole bunch of scenarios. I think there's 100 million. But the one thing I also, someone made me realize last night, I didn't realize Bentancur. First of all, I thought Bentancur was still a loan because we paid 18 million quid for him. I didn't realize that was all it is.
Yeah,
like, that is absolute bargain, unbelievable business. So if the number that we have is 150 million, but you spend it badly, then it's still a shit show. If you only have 70 million,
still spend it poorly. Yeah,
right, exactly, right. And so if Paratici's got a few more of those up his sleeve, we don't need 200 million. We might only need 100 millions. If we can get 5 Bentancurs in the various positions we need them, or 5 Kulusevskis, if we can uncover these gems, then I don't know. I'm remaining hopeful.
Yeah, interesting. Assuming Levy agrees to spend 100 million, how many players are you getting? 5 young, untested players, or do you get 2 expensive players? I think you get 2 expensive players to bottom two, to be fair. I think you do. But then again, what Sean says, knowing this club's history, would they just waste all that money on 2 expensive players that actually don't ever come to fruition, don't actually ever come to produce? That could be a huge worry. And to be fair, it wouldn't be very surprising either, considering our transfer history. But then again, I would rather us buy, and we've said this 1,000 times, I'd rather us buy quality over quantity. If that extra 20 million or whatever it is guarantees you more quality, maybe it guarantees you, like we've said before, the Bruno Fernandes over the Gio Lo Celso. If that's what the extra money does, then so be it. That's what you should do to bottom dude up. That's my answer. Let me know what you think.
What I will say to that is, if we go down the route of bringing in 5 young untested players, you're doing exactly what you've done with the Gareth Bale money, and you haven't really learned from your mistakes. If you bring in 2 expensive players, you're doing what you've done in January, and you are learning from your mistakes, which you're bringing in the quality over quantity. What I will say is, look, don't know how true it is, but as the goal was asking the Q&A there last week about, what is the summer business looking like, and apparently he says 4 players plus replacing whoever goes out the door. So it could be, he said, expect a busy summer window. So
big up to bottom dude. That means you'll be sticking around, my man. That means we'll be having a lot more transfers to discuss. Absolute bore, says Chelsea Plastics going club window shopping soon. PSG's actually out of the cards for them, actually. That's actually quite sad. No Champions League. They'd be watching Ligue 1 for the rest of the season. That doesn't.
They'll all be wearing Newcastle jerseys next week, or City jerseys.
Yeah.
Just
love that meme. So good.
Yeah.
When Homer Simpson's wearing a Chelsea shirt, and he disappears back into the bush, and it comes back out again with his Newcastle shirt.
They'll follow the money anyway. That's for sure. Absolutely. They'll follow the money.
Football for them started in 2003. I wouldn't be surprised that all of a sudden it started for them in 2022 as well. Chelsea fans, I would not be surprised. But absolute bore. big yourself up, my man. And, I would say is they have fewer options than they did, last night. They had fewer options, but we are going to keep moving on. We are going to keep pressing on to maybe no more kind of, transfer kind of discussion. So maybe people might be a bit upset with that. But something that I definitely think will be a really interesting talk is Sean, Emerson, it seems like it's not working out. There are rumors that Atletico Madrid are kind of interested in the guy. There are also rumors that a lot of Italian clubs are heavily interested in the player. Reportedly, he wants a move back to Spain. So maybe that Madrid move might be more likely than anything. With Emerson not likely working out for the future, what do you feel like went wrong? Why didn't it work out, Sean?
Well, I mean, I'm not... Two things.
When did he do wrong? Or even, yeah.
I think he was brought as a right back, and he's now been, and the formation changed to a right wing back, right? And so same with Doherty. Doherty was a right wing back, but when everyone fell out of love with Doherty at Tottenham, and I'm not for a second suggesting that we should change our minds on Doherty just because of a couple of great games, but he was signed as a right wing back and then was forced to play a right back for a while. And they're two very different positions, the responsibilities, the roles. And I think that, Jack, you were correct throughout the season, reminding everybody to be patient with him because he's not a natural right wing back, and he was, a right back, and so he needs time to adjust.
Strategy had no idea Conte was coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So
he was buying a Jose Mourinho right back. Yeah.
What went wrong? Well, like a lot of the things that go wrong at Tottenham, and this is where I agree with the people that hate Daniel Levy, is there is no philosophy, and when you chop and change the people that control who goes on the pitch and who controls the training every day, and you go from an offensive manager to a defensive manager to a defensive blah 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 blah, you flip-flop, then no one knows whether they're coming or going, and you end up with a mishmash of players in the squad who are bought for different managers for different systems, and whether they have it within them to be adaptable to play under different, that's a difference. Like, you can have talent, but you don't necessarily have the skills to adapt. And I think that Emerson Royal, first of all, is struggling to adapt to life in London. I think he's also struggling to adapt to a position that he hasn't played and he wasn't bought for. I wish the guy, if he does leave, and of the two of them, if we have to get rid of one of them, of the two of them right now, whilst Conte's here, you'd absolutely say Emerson Royal. I think he's got bigger sell-on value. I think we can get our money back on him.
More money back.
So it's worth, good luck to him if he does go. I wish him well. I'm sure he'll go on to be a great player. But I just think that what's gone wrong is he's struggling to adapt in a variety of ways.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think you actually hit all of my talking points, to be honest, Sean. To be fair. No, you're actually fine. Maybe I would just reiterate, maybe what went wrong with Emerson, like you even said, maybe not good enough to be that adaptable, just not good enough of a footballer to be able to perhaps play more than one sort of position in kind of an exceptional sort of way. And then as well, Paratici originally bought a right back that basically would not make the same sort of defensive errors and the same sort of boneheaded decisions that we saw Aurier make time and time again. And even to be fair as well, you even saw, like, once Kyle Walker left in general, like, the defense, down the right hand side was not great. We were better going forward, maybe with our right fullbacks, but wasn't really ever solid defensively. And maybe with what happened last season under Jose, it just felt maybe the idea behind the transfer was just get a right back that can defend and then focus on what he can do after that. And so maybe we were going for like a Vladimir Soufal kind of signing. I've said that before. Soufal, I think, is one of the clumsiest, sort of players on the ball. But at the end of the day, that guy gets stuck in and he does exactly what David Moyes wants him to do. And that's why David Moyes loves him. And if, let's say, Nuno were successful, let's say Nuno actually did have a good spell here, maybe we would be saying the exact opposite about Emerson. Maybe we'd be saying Emerson has been great this season. But the moment that Antonio Conte moved in, the guy I just don't think was good enough to be able to make that step up to be the right wing back. And Doherty has rightfully replaced him. But Sean, I think you took a lot of great points there. Dave, maybe just quickly, I think we really did answer it well, but what do you feel like? Just what went wrong with Emerson? Like, why didn't it work out?
Look, we have to remember, as much as people don't like this guy, we also have to remember this is a guy that's come into a sinking ship and a shit show, and, it's, yes, he hasn't hit the heights of the performances that maybe we would have liked him to do, but not everything is on him. We also have to understand this guy did come into the sinking ship, we're asking him to come straight in there at the age of 22. Carl Walker was loaned out at the age of 22 to Aston Villa. You know, if you just want to kind of put some things in some sort of comparison here. Look, we bought Emerson to be able to develop. When we bought him, there's no way someone said he was the finished product. We definitely brought him as a development. Now, it's up to us whether we want to develop. It doesn't look like we look like we want to develop him. It does look like we're wanting to try to maybe recoup some cash for him. But where it went wrong is look, he's being asked to play a right wing back, and he's a right back. It's a bit like Doherty. He was asked to play a right back. He was absolutely crap. Being asked to play a right wing back, now he's starting to perform a little.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's maybe they've seen something where they think that maybe Emerson can't adapt to it. What I will say as well is sometimes it does look like that players are not passing them the ball. When that sort of stuff starts happening and the players on the field are thinking he's a bit of a liability, you can't keep persisting with him because players have to be able to trust in each other to look after the ball. So, in fact, if they don't trust them, you're really playing with 10 men. So it's not really a good sign for the team. Look, me personally, I would actually like to give Emerson more time to develop. I think, look, 6 months into moving leagues and stuff like that, it's probably a bit too harsh to be judging them. I would be wary that maybe some of them rumours maybe could just be because it's been a slow news week here at Tottenham Hotspur, and it's easy to put out something like that and make it believable to the fans. Look,
he also had to play a lot of his time with Sanchez next to him.
Well, you see, that's it as well. He's like you said, Sean. He's had Sanchez beside him. He's had Winks down that side of the midfield an awful lot of the time as well.
Not a lot of support, yeah.
No, it hasn't been a lot of support. When Kulusevski came in and Emerson played, nobody was talking about Emerson's end product. They were saying how good he was, how much of a good game he had defensively. And for me, I think that's something we can definitely build on going forward. But look, I wouldn't be in a rush to sell him either because what you do want is you want to be able to have that defensive option and that attacking option. You need both.
But we do need to improve. We do need to improve the right wing back for next season, right? So someone's got to go. It's either Doherty or Emerson needs to be improved. And who is it?
Look,
who would you rather get rid of?
For me, I would rather buy someone that's a lot better going forward. Yes, Doherty has played well lately. He came on against Leicester, he changed the game, had a good game against Leeds. He was probably one of the better players on the pitch against Middlesbrough. Very good game against Everton. But 3 games over the course of 2 years,
it's not enough. 100%.
There's so much more that we could get out of a right wing back going forward. Yes, Doherty has stepped it up, but when I'm looking at some of the best right wing backs around the world, they offer so much more than what Doherty is offering, or they offer what Doherty have offered over the last 3 games on a consistent basis. Look, I really like Doherty, and I hope he does succeed, and I think he is in the pecking order ahead of Emerson at the minute. My worry is how long does Doherty keep performing at this rate? If he does to the end of the season, for me, you keep him, and you probably look at loaning Emerson out and getting somebody else in.
You'd loan him out. Interesting.
Yeah, because Doherty's 30, 31, lad. You're not going to get too many more years out of him.
But would you not want to if someone in Spain was to, I don't know, write off the
This is right. This is my feeling, Sean. Like, what if a team in Spain throws 17 million at the guy? You kind of like think to yourself, you're like, wow, only
you get rid of it. You take the 17 million.
You compare that to the Tanguy situation. You compare that to the Giola.
You could go and take 17 million, pay Middlesbrough for Jed Spence, your boy, the guy you guys love him. Yeah. 17 million would Middlesbrough would bite your hand off for that, right?
And like David is saying, like, and maybe we can move on to this quickly, but I do want to take this.
Well, again, just to add to that, Jed Spence is nowhere near the finished article. He's a very good player, and he has so much potential to be able to become a world-class right back, right wing back, whatever you want him to mold him into. But again, if you bring him in, you are going to have to err on the side of caution and patience as well. If I was bringing in him, I'd be bringing in someone else, and I'd be getting rid of both of them, Doherty and Emerson.
Okay.
But for me, with Doherty turning 31 next year, I think I would rather loan Emerson out for a year and just see how he gets on for that year, if he develops and see if he does become the player that you thought you were going to sign, rather than just sell him on a knee-jerk and then all of a sudden he becomes world-class or quality over that year, and then us Spurs fans are sitting here again going, why did we sell him? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? No, because it happens every single fucking time. Every single time. So for me, you look at Kyle Walker, he wasn't the finished article at 22. He was loaned out to Villa. He was loaned out to a number of clubs where he's able to
KWP. Look at Kyle Walker-Peters. All of a sudden, we want Kyle Walker-Peters back.
How much did we let him go for, Jack?
I think that was tied into the Højbjerg deal, I believe.
Oh, was it?
Kyle
okay.
Walker-Peters, They've tied into the Højbjerg deal.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, actually, I think wasn't Southampton. I think they were upset that we either spent too little on Højbjerg or they were upset that we sent them Kyle Walker-Peters. But if that was the case, that we sent them Kyle Walker-Peters and they were upset about that, I mean, I would say they probably, biting their tongue on that situation. Yeah. With Emerson, I think, yeah, honestly, this is a really fascinating discussion because to be fair, like, and I brought this up to Dave today, Sean, that Doherty turns 31 next season. And to be fair, we've only seen his best version of himself now. It'd be hard to believe, as much as I want to keep the faith, it'd be hard to believe to see him continue this patch of form, this level of quality, which has been unbelievable for too much longer, because he doesn't seem to be that player that you would say age is a number sort of player. He doesn't really fit that bracket for me, Doherty. He's not a guy like a Modric or something in the world, or even a Kyle Walker, actually, or Kyle Walker, where age is just a number to them. I actually feel like 31-year-old Matt Doherty will look quite different maybe to a 30-year-old Matt Doherty, to a 29-year-old Matt Doherty, and I'm a bit worried about that. And as good as he's been recently, do you just let him kind of, I don't know, waste away is a bit harsh, but do you let him just kind of fade away at the club and, maybe be that backup right wing back for the rest of time, with Spurs? Or do you kind of see him as like, yeah, maybe he's going to have a good rest of the season, but you could also look at him as a 31-year-old right wing back who hasn't actually played well for us until maybe the last 4 games, you could say. And that does kind of worry me. Whereas Emerson, I don't think has really done too much to really, especially with how good Doherty has been playing recently, it kind of has voided, I feel like, a lot of the good Emerson performances, because what Doherty did was have a good defensive performance while also being good going forward. Emerson every time has been good defensively,
poor going forward.
Okay or poor.
Well, I think the problem with Matt Doherty, to your point, I think he's a confidence player. Like, ever since that Man City, when he came off the bench in the 85th, 89th minute, whatever it was, and he put the shot block in, and the ball smashed against his chest, and he got up and he celebrated. He punched the air like he hadn't let the side down, and it was shared on Twitter. Everyone's saying, "All right, calm down, Matt," But I think that was the catalyst for him to then go on, and he's a confidence guy. If you, to your point, Jack, if you allow him to kind of fade away and then just be a squad man, you won't. That will just eat away at his confidence. He needs to be playing and playing well in a team for him to for us to get the best out of him. And you're right, he's 31, right? And the demands of a wing back are high. No, he's never relied on his pace. He's never relied on his. I don't know what he relies on really. You wouldn't call him a Teddy Sheringham player. You wouldn't call him particularly like.
Yeah, he doesn't have physical athleticism that he's like relying on.
What is it about Matt Doherty then?
What does he rely on? Yeah, what does he rely on? To be fair, it's actually probably more of his technical ability, and as much as we've seen him,
his passing, he's a good passer. Yeah,
passing. We've seen him send a few shots into the souvenirs, today. But I don't know. You would probably say he's never relied on pace, never really relied on strength. Never really relied on anything else, probably just from his sheer footballing kind of ability to a degree. So maybe, I don't know, but that's what worries me, Sean, is I feel like maybe he'll just lose more and more legs. He'll lose more and more pace, more strength and everything. And that just the demands of a right wing back, which we've seen that basically the requirement is to be able to get up and down the pitch as much as you can and to be able to be one of the hardest working players in that team. Can I see Matt Doherty doing that as great as he's been recently? I just can't see him doing that.
The thing is,
Matt. Sorry, Dave.
No. Sorry, go on, Shawnee.
I was just going to finish with on the basis of what you said, Jack, and I completely agree with you. You can't replace two. Well, it's very rare that you see a club buy 2 players in the same position in the same window, one of them to be a first choice and the other one to be backup with the other 2 getting moved out. So you have to pick one. And Jack, what you're saying, what you've just said, dare I say it, you might be changing my mind. Maybe Doherty.
I'm not trying to. That's what's funny.
No, I know.
With Emerson, there's more of a ceiling with Emerson than what there is with Matt Doherty. But we also have to remember when Antonio Conte wanted to play super defensive against Man City, who was his first choice to do that? Emerson was. Because Emerson is better defensively. How many times have we seen Doherty being roasted defensively?
He would have been
absolutely roasted
defensively. I'm worried he'll get roasted by Sancho on Saturday.
Yeah, and it potentially could happen. It wouldn't surprise me to see Emerson be put in. Saturday just purely for the defensive side of things. Like under Pochettino, you had Danny Rose on the left, the attacking player, and you had Ben Davies as the defensive player. And it's kind of like you pick which one suits your tactics better on that day, usually, which is the way it should happen. But for me, I just think Emerson has more of a ceiling than what Matt Doherty is. Matt Doherty turns 31 next year. You're going to be looking to eventually move him on and replace him anyway after next season. Why not do it this season? The guy has had, 3-4 good games in the space of 2 years here.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why Matt Doherty is still here this season is because loads of people said you can't really sell him after one season. It's never really, it's not really.
And he wasn't playing well enough to be sellable. Either, Dave. Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, Matt Doherty is better going forward. But if you want longevity, if you want bang for your buck, you want value for your money, you replace Doherty with someone better going forward.
Yeah, I think you would.
You could sell Doherty, get about 20 million for him, and you can go and get Dodo. Ukraine have the players that are playing out in Ukraine. That transfer window opens up in April, I think it is.
I think it's actually open right now till April. I think it's open right now.
There's a player there that you get for about 20-25 million. Can play right back, right wing back, can play left back, left wing back. So much better going forward than Matt Doherty.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, Dodo would also be the Brazilian fullback that actually can play football that we were looking for, that Kuva has said before. But the bottom Duda saying, suppose you want Kessié in Spurs and knowing Barcelona is after him, what will be your pitch to Kessié to bring him to Spurs? Keen to know a fan's pitch here. I actually love this. question.
He's already verbally agreed it with Barcelona, has he not?
Oh, well, that makes the pitch a lot harder then. That makes the pitch a lot harder.
Yeah.
To bottom Duda, just for sakes, here's what you promise him. Italian manager, familiar with Italian managers. Italian way of playing, familiar with that. Hardworking. Kessié is more of a hard worker than really... he's an exceptional footballer, but I think, Dave, that is one of his best attributes, is kind of that hardworking box-to-box sort of kind of industrious midfielder. You would say Kessié, I don't know, Dave, maybe kind of similar to like a Vidal, you would kind of argue, kind of a player like that. So maybe an Antonio Conte team might actually be better than like a Xavi, like, technical, sort of possession-based team. And then as well, I don't know, Kessié, I would say moving to La Liga right now is actually moving to an easier league. And then the Serie A, I would say, is more demanding. So if he wants a better, more challenging league, if he wants to really challenge himself and, play in the most high profile, high quality sort of games, I would say going to Barcelona is not going to be the case. I would say you do head on over to the Premier League. And then probably lastly, to be honest, I just feel like that system over at Barcelona actually might not be the best for Kessié, to be fair. I actually think some Premier League team would actually be better suited for him, because Barcelona seemed fine with the Gavis and the Pedris and the De Jongs of the world. It seems maybe like the Kessié signing, maybe it's there to replace Busquets, but then that doesn't even really make much sense. I don't think he's that sort of player. I would just say, to bottom Duda, what I would say to Kessié, no matter how good that Barcelona kit may look to him, I would say it's not going to work out maybe the way that he would want it to. That's what I would say. Pretty powerful pitch, I actually must be honest. Pretty powerful pitch to him. I think I convinced him, Dave.
Look, what I would say is you can go to a club that's on the decline and doesn't have the money to do anything about it, or you can come to a club that we're in a position to be able to go on the incline. We need players like you with your sort of ability to be able to take us to that direction we want to go. So come to us, we'll double your wages, pay you more than what Barcelona can, just purely because we can, because Barcelona are bankrupt, and
Barcelona can't even guarantee paying you.
No, and what I'd say to him is as well, look, you can go to Barcelona, but it's not the same Barcelona you're going to. It's not one that you're going to leave a legacy with this Barcelona. So for me, I would just say, look, come to Tottenham. We're a club on the rise. And you can guarantee you don't have to be sitting there sweating your balls off every week, checking your bank account to see if your money's gone in, because at Tottenham, it's 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, it's guaranteed every week. That's why so many people have stuck around for so long. Absolute bore saying Levy pushing for Jetson return in the summer, unless there's a better Jetson out there. I'll take the other Jetson, just not the same Jetson. I'll take a different Jetson next time. Absolute bore. I would take a different Jetson.
He scored a belter of a free kick earlier this month.
For Galatasaray?
Yeah, it was absolute
Yeah.
screamer.
It was very funny, though. I
Absolutely.
was watching a bit of Turkish league, like just last year or something. It was very funny just to see Jetson Fernandez rocking up at Galatasaray. I would say the kit did look good on him. Jerome saying, I think the arrival of Kulu has made Matt Doherty play better for some reason.
Love that.
Those two have a great chemistry compared to him and Mora. Wow. This is a great comment, I must say. Because we've already said that Kulu has actually gotten the best out of Harry Kane, or not gotten the best out of it. He's complimented Harry Kane well. He's complimented Sonny well, Kulu. We've also said that even in that Man City performance, he really helped Emerson out. So seems like he's helping out both fullbacks, Sean, in this case. Maybe he compliments them both well.
Yeah, Jerome, I think you made a really good point, mate. Something
and
I
Mora
agree with
never really helped out Emerson when we noticed that as well, which was strange. So
100%. I definitely think that Matt Doherty has benefited from Kulu. I think Kulu has benefited from Matt Doherty as well. Like it's a mutual thing. They have some sort of chemistry, and I think that Emerson hasn't had that chance with Kulu. And when Emerson was there, he had Lucas Moura. This is nothing against Lucas Moura, but Lucas Moura is kind of like an individual player. When he gets the ball and runs, he's head down, doing his magic tricks and things, but doesn't have too much of like a vision. Whereas with Kulusevski, the one thing that I've noticed is that the first thing he does is look up, absorb what's going on. What's the best thing to do with the ball here? Do I run with it? Do I pass it? Do I do a 1-2? Do I shoot with my left peg, or do I do a little classy tap through? Kulusevski's a very intelligent player, and when you play near an intelligent player, then you can feed off of that and be in the right positions. And I think that in no small part is Matt Doherty's offensive contributions, because Kulusevski is just a very, very, very smart player who can read the game incredibly quickly. And so, Matt, I'd be interested to see if Matt Doherty does as well with Lucas in front, or if Emerson does come back in, does Emerson have the same ability to connect quickly with Kulu? It's a really good point, Jerome.
Yeah, and to be fair, actually, we were talking about earlier, Sean, like
City, though, didn't they? Kulu and Emerson, they played against City.
Yeah, I was saying, Dave, like he complimented both well, where like with Emerson, he helped him out defensively. Also, obviously helped out Emerson offensively, of course, goes without saying. But he also got stuck in defensively and helped him out in that regard. And then with Doherty, we were saying, what does Doherty actually rely on? Maybe we found out like maybe just not actually a bad footballer, just not the most athletic, not the most powerful.
A smooth hairline, that's what he relies on.
Yeah, he does have that good hairline and that good beard line always. But to be fair, maybe it's just Kulu and Doherty kind of vibe on some sort of maybe pattern, a play, maybe just the wavelengths are on a higher level than him and Emerson. And just seeing Kulu be able to play with both of them quite well, I think is actually a blessing. And you do compare it to Mora. I mean, Mora just wasn't really helping out either. It kind of felt like he kept just drifting so far inside. We kind of thought originally maybe Antonio Conte was asking Mora to do that. Maybe that wasn't actually the case. It's just maybe what Mora just wants to do. And he was abandoning, it felt like, Doherty or Emerson, either one. It just felt like Mora wasn't actually helping them out as much as maybe Kulu does. And that's not even defensively. I think that's going forward. Wasn't helping them out either.
But Mora was the sort of player that we all said Mora was great. Like, let's not be honest. Like, let's not be disrespectful to him. He was fantastic when he came into the middle. When he drifted in, he was at his best doing his thing, what he's great at. When he gets the ball in the middle, when he was left out wide, he would often just stand on the touchline and go missing. In the last 3 seasons, there were so many times when he was played in that kind of wing forward role, and he just didn't get involved in the game. And so when he has been played recently, if he does get dragged in to get involved in the game, that did then expose the right back or the right wing back to be left alone to fend for themselves. So I agree with you, Jack, and a great insight from Jerome.
Just quickly, lads, just to maybe, Dave, were you going to still touch on the wing backs? I was going to ask maybe the final.
No. Go on.
So final question here, lads. Do you sell both or you sell just one?
One. I sell Doherty.
Sell Dart? Wow.
I
sell Emerson and I love Emerson, and this pains me. I would say Emerson better hairline than Matt Doherty. Better teeth, he's got the nice smile and everything. But I don't know, this hurts me, but I would sell Emerson. It does hurt me because I've backed him more than I feel like anybody has. So it really does pain me. But I would sell Emerson, Dave, especially you get 16 million. It just Don Paratici, just rolling the music. If he sells that guy for like 16, 17 million, that would be a Don Paratici move. But Yeah, I would sell.
I'd sell both. I would sell if we can.
Three different answers. Love it.
If we could get like 20 million, 18 million back on Emerson, I'd bite your hand off for it because I think that money could be put to better use. And if Doherty, listen, I think he's done well, but listen, it's one swallow or two swallows doesn't make a summer. So I think we got to wait and see how he finishes the rest of the season and how we finish. And if we get to the Champions League, if we happen to finish fourth, then we need a better right wing back than both him and Emerson. And then I'd go for your Jed Spence as one of the options, and then somebody else as well who's like a tried and tested and proven guy, a Mazraoui or somebody who's like maybe on a free transfer, one of those guys that are like, 28, 29 that are just...
Mazraoui's off somewhere. I've seen it yesterday. He's agreed a deal somewhere. I can't remember where. Yeah.
But somebody, I'd be happy to see both of them gone. And if we can get good money back, I don't think you'll get much on Doherty now, maybe 6 million, but I think you could get a decent slab of your money back on Emerson and then rebuild the whole right side for next season. Yeah.
3 different answers though. And to be fair, I kind of agree with all of them. To be fair,
I agree with all of you as well.
Each one. We agreed with each other's, more than our own. Gogama saying David, Jack, and Sean. Gogama, absolute legend.
Big up,
legend. Good to have you in the house. Brian C. Socrates throwing in some big ones here, saying optimistic wisdom time, lads. Agree. Our new players bring synergy. The combined power of a group of things when they are working together that is greater than the total power achieved by each working separately. Brian, I think I know exactly what he's trying to ask. I think I know exactly what he's trying to ask here. Are we maybe more of a team that will benefit from maybe not having the big names, not having the players that play to themselves, not having, the Neymars, the Messis, and Mbappes of the world? Will we be more successful if we continue to build on this sort of synergy? Do you feel
that's what we were under Poch, though, isn't it? Where we didn't really have the star names. You had
some of the parts.
All the parts that kind of come together and pull the one way. And look, if you don't have the monies of the PSGs and all, that's ultimately
what you have to do.
Have to go down. But it's all about finding the right pieces of that puzzle to bring in. Look, we've already done it with Benchico, we've done it with Romero, we've done it with Kulu. We just need to do it in other areas of the pitch and bring in the right players as well to challenge for other certain positions as well. So, look, it's kind of like that's what we were on the Pochettino,
Yeah. Okay. To be fair, Brian C., I kind of feel like this is probably what Spurs are more likely to succeed with than anything else. We're not going to be the club that buys, I don't know, like, it's not like we're going to be a club that has like a St. Maximin or something that's just going to, just do whatever he wants on the pitch and, just kind of, create something out of nothing. We are, a team that benefits from having, camaraderie, having players that aren't too big for their head, having players that, actually work for each other. And I feel like that's something that to a degree we're probably all kind of proud of actually about our club, that we don't have those kind of big name stars that kind of, I don't know, cause a bunch of trouble around the dressing room and whatnot.
Like who we're playing against on Saturday, right? Manchester United have a team of individuals, not just Ronaldo, all of them.
Correct.
No, he got great players, Pogba, great talent. Even Fernandes is looking like he's getting sucked into the individualism.
Yeah,
like it's they are the exact opposite of the synergy. Brian, what is the antonym of synergy? If you're going to get creative.
This conversation is getting way too intelligent for me with all these.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's going to never.
Dictionary yet.
We're just going to have to, we're just going to have to leave it to Socrates. We're just going to have to leave it.
I do want to add just to his last one. Sorry, quickly. Look, like Sean pointed out, United, PSG, a bunch of individuals. It doesn't work. It doesn't win you the teams that you desire. Whereas you look at how Man City have done it. Yes, they went and spent some big money. But Bernardo Silva wasn't a massive name before they brought him in. There's other players in that team that weren't exactly household names before they brought them in. So there has to be a fine balance of mixing world-class players with class players, but with all the same sort of focused and goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's in layman's terms. So sorry about that.
Love it.
Brian C. with another follow-up of a very generous one as well, saying players, coach, and fans all together in positive synergy for the run-in now. Here's for a few pints for the game next week. Have a great day at the stadium, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Brian C. the legend. Really do appreciate it. But it's exactly the case. I mean, not only do the players and the coach need to be in synergy, but to a degree, especially next season, I think the fans do as well. think the fans do as well. I think it's been a rough, toxic season that I'm not surprised that everybody's all over the place on whatever opinion there is, maybe regarding whatever topic that there is. But I say next season, build that synergy, build that camaraderie, build that togetherness, and then we're going to become campeones, my man. But big up, Brian C. Big up.
Big up, Brian C. But I also want to say, next time I'm going over for a game, my man, come with me. See if you can get the time off and come with me. Even if we do a day trip, I'd love to take in a game with you, my man. So let me know if you have any plans of going over or vice versa. But we'll definitely sort something out, Brian. Legend.
Spot on. The opposite of synergy is antagonism. Well
there you
done.
go.
And again,
nice.
Let me know when you're down in Kildare as well. Sorry, Brian. Let me know when you're back in Kildare, my man.
Brian C.
Brian's
really
a legend. Love, he sends so much support to my channel as well in the comments and things. Big up, Brian. I really appreciate you, mate.
I know what antagonism means. I get that. Yeah, I get it now. I get it.
Also one of the smartest men in the building, I must say, always, Brian C. But big yourself up. Synergy. I'm going to keep remembering that, my man. Dermot's in the house as well. Good to see Dermot in here. Of course,
never late.
Always.
Fashionably on time.
Fashionably on time, my man.
Classy arrival.
But we did just answer that whole right wing back situation. So we are going to continue to move on to maybe, I would say, the Kulusevski thing. And maybe this could be kind of one of the, I would say, I think it's the last two questions here, lads. Kulusevski joined Spurs on loan from Juventus on transfer deadline day in January. He's slotted in comfortably in a trio alongside Harry Kane and Son, which have yielded 2 goals and 3 assists. Spurs are set to shell out $8.3 million for Kulusevski's services across this season and through the 2022-23 campaign. However, an obligation to buy clause is worth £29.2 million, and it can be activated if certain sporting achievements are met. Should we be looking to make this deal a permanent one this summer, or should we maybe hold out and see what he does next season as well? Sean, are you too eager? Do you just want to get him right now? You already like what you're seeing, just pay it, fork it over, or do you feel like, just see what maybe continues to happen?
Well, look, I want him. I'm definitely want him. I'll take my chances whether it's a flash in the pan or not. I think he's got all of the intelligence and class.
One good flash of a pan, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's class, but I don't necessarily see why there would be a need to activate the purchase now. If you can convince me that there's a potential negative to letting the loan run for another year, then I'm all for buying him now. But if the deal is agreed and that at any point in the next 18 months or whatever, we can activate it. And if we finish in the Champions League, I think that's the requirement. If we finish in the top 4, we have to. Then,
is there a benefit of paying it early? I don't think
there is, unless it's one of those things where, he's like, well, I mean, if we have the option all the way through and we can sign him, unless he just goes on to some ridiculous level and then people get into his ear next year and say, oh, don't, just down tools or whatever, or do whatever you can to get out of that obligation. But I don't see the point in spending, very much needed transfer budget elsewhere on him if we've still got another year to figure that one out personally.
Could the case be maybe the one reason, if you were to come up with one, to buy him early is, let's say he does so well and continues to perform so well, then maybe then Juventus take a second look at him, maybe think about the player that they did actually let go. And maybe since he is so young and with, some of those young sort of forwards they have, perhaps they say, you know what, I don't care, what Allegri says about the guy. This is a real talent. We need him back at this club. Maybe that could be the reason you could speculate to pay early, just so Juventus don't maybe perhaps call him back.
Well, I don't know if they can they? Like, I don't know what the deal. I don't know what the specifics are. If they can, if that is a potential, if they can pull the plug, then that's a reason why we should trigger it early. If they can't, if the option is just there for 18 months, I don't want to waste. Not saying it's a waste because he's well worth every penny. But if that money can be paid later and we've got only a pool of money, whatever that pool is, and we need to fix, as we said before, left centre back, right wing back, maybe 2 of them. A backup to Romero, a classy central midfielder, and an attacking CM, and a backup striker, and even a goalkeeper, then I don't want to spend 25 million. Was it 29? You said 29 million. I don't want to spend that on Kulusevski early unless we have to, personally.
Interesting. If that's all true, then I actually feel the same way, Sean. But Dave, maybe to, listen to maybe what Cody Mack was saying, if the price is cheaper, let's say it's true. If the price is cheaper in the summer, would you take it, Dave? Maybe would you buy early?
Yeah, I'll give you the Kulusevski details here. So it's a 10 million loan fee for 1 year, for a year and a half loan. So that 8 million is in pounds, but it's 10 million euros. Obligation to buy for 35 million euros or 29 million pounds under certain conditions. UEFA Champions League appearances. Buy option clause available for 35 million, which is 29 million. Potential 35 million clause would be paid in 5 installments. So like that 29 million pounds, and that we broken down into 5 installments is what the deal looks like here. But it's not an obligation to buy. Nothing there says, it's only an obligation to buy under certain conditions.
Yeah.
So if we're taking the risk of, if Kulusevski doesn't meet them conditions and Juve fancy him, they can just turn down any money we put in. But for me, look, if it's 29 million, 5 installments, that works out at about 6 million per installment or something like that. I failed maths in school, so I'm not the best.
4 million for every. If it's a 5-year, 4 million a year for 5 years will be 30. It'll be 20. Oh, you say 20 million
29,
or 30 million?
29
million.
Oh, 6 million. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
5 installments. It says here.
6 million.
Dave's spot on.
Over 5 installments. It would be paid in 5 installments. So, look, for me, I'd probably. Do you know what? Look, if it was cheaper this summer, which, look, I know Cody said it, but I'm not sure that is the case. Now, it could be, but I'm not sure it is. If it was the case and he was cheaper to get him this summer, I'd definitely take him. I'd definitely be looking at getting the deal done. But if he's not going to be any cheaper, to be honest with you, I would wait, because I would want to see if he can still have the same effect next season. I want to keep the guy hungry, but then you are treading a fine line. How far do you push it into that season before he's kind of thinking, well, hang on, there's nothing, no sort of negotiations going on here. I'm not sure where I am, whether I'm going back to Juve. But then you're also giving the player a chance to make up his mind. If he wants to head back to Italy, does he prefer living in Italy and stuff like that? So for me, look, I agree with what Sean has said. It doesn't make sense to take money out of this summer's transfer budget when that money has to be allocated to different positions around the squad. It doesn't make sense. But what I would hope to see is that we get the summer transfer window out of the way, and then maybe between the summer and the January transfer window, they go and get that deal into place.
Yeah, I like that structure, Dave. Jerome saying Kulu is built for the Prem. Definitely keep him, but let the loan run, and maybe we can get him cheaper on a permanent. I think what's the case here, Jerome, is that if we were to get him cheaper on a permanent, again, it's only allegedly. I do believe maybe Cody, if especially because he does, probably have good sources for it. Tier 1 Cody Mack, but I would maybe say, if it is cheaper, let's say let's say instead of 6 million for the installments, let's say it's like 3 million. Maybe it's cut in half or something like that, or 4 million. How much does that really save you? How much does that really help you? I'm not sure. The only thing you would want to think about, Jerome, is if you do maybe pay early, or if you do, let's say, pay it just slightly early, does that show faith in Kulusevski? Does that show faith that Kulusevski sees a future here? Does that show that, he has, a strong kind of, impression on, the club and everything? Maybe that guarantees him that he sees, Tottenham actually as a club that has shown a bit of love to him, a bit of faith to him. Which is probably what he's looking for, especially a young player who are, a bit impressionable and everything. If maybe Spurs were to show him that sort of faith, maybe that actually only helps us. But I don't know. It feels weird to maybe
didn't we
ahead of time, considering everybody keeps talking about the Gio Lo Celso situation, Sean.
Yeah,
they just don't want that to happen.
Yes, what I was going to say. Jude made a really good point that we activated that buy early, didn't we? And look what happened there. So don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, don't want to replicate that, Jerome, but big yourself up, my man. Big yourself up. Just maybe on that third goal scorer that we've been talking about, I mean, he's done so well, and in fact, has practically already meeting the numbers that Bergwijn and Lucas have put up this season. should Spurs consider selling Bergwijn or Lucas this summer? Because they were brought in to be that third goal scorer. They were brought in to help out Harry Kane and Son. I feel like Lucas, for me personally, has a really close spot in my heart. I think as well as a lot of Spurs fans. I think I'd be happy to just see him finish out his career at Spurs to a degree. You could maybe even say he might deserve it. In Bergwijn's case, though, you could also get a bit more money out of it than maybe Lucas, considering the age difference and the talent levels. But I feel like you do actually consider selling one of them this summer, because we do need the Kulusevski was that third goal scorer, but we can't have two others sitting on the bench that just have failed in doing that. I feel like that would be a bit silly to keep them both around if they haven't really proven themselves yet. So for me, I actually would sell Bergwijn, and I've actually been quite impressed by Bergwijn's kind of short sort of, kind of stint of form, and coming back. But you get more money out of it. If Ajax offer 25 million this time, I think you'd snap it. I think you just take that right away. But I don't know, Dave, what do you think? Do you sell one of them this summer? Do you not sell any of them? What are your thoughts on this? Because Kulusevski is clearly outdoing them in the goal scoring and the assist department.
I'll be honest with you, I'd be happy to sell both of them. Look, Lucas Moura, end product, it's not the greatest. I'm not being funny. It's actually cheaper to put me into a diet program, get me in shape, and let me run around the Tottenham Hotspur pitch next season. It's far cheaper. For me, it's far cheaper, honestly. It's more work. But look, when it comes to Lucas Moura, it's the end product. It's running down the blind alleys. It's the headless chicken sort of nature of the guy, snatching at things a lot of the time. With Lucas Moura, the problem is when you put him out there, is you don't know which Lucas Moura you're going to get. And I can't go through another season of that. I can't do it. Bergwijn, another player. Yes, he came off the bench against Leicester. He got a couple of goals and stuff like that. But again, another player, you put him out there, you don't know what you're going to get. Again, another player is a bit of a headless chicken. End product could be 10 times better than what it is. And for me, I just think there's better players out there. And if you had another player or two lined up that were better on the ball than these technically, ship them out and get them in.
Yeah. Sean, do you sell both? So people have been quite brutal in here, which I did not expect. They've said sell both. And even Craig has said you get 40 million for those two. I'm not sure in the case of Lucas. I feel like, what is he, 29, 30 now? I feel like maybe you get 10, 12 million perhaps if another European club wants him. Would you sell both, Sean, or would you keep one of them?
I would sell both, but if you had to sell one, I'm not desperate for both to go. I'm happy for Lucas Moura, as much as he's had ever since we lost to Liverpool under Mourinho, he stepped up. In January of last year, he stepped up and has been really consistent over the last 15 months when he's played. He doesn't offer as much as we need, but he does offer something different. He can, in the Champions League final, the Carabao Cup final against Man City, he should have got their guy sent off. I forget the player now off the top of my head who it was.
Ruben Diaz, I think it was. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. He offers something different. He's better at what that thing is than Bergwijn. Bergwijn has a club that are very strong and desiring him. I think you could get 20 million, 22 million euros for Bergwijn. I'd happily let Bergwijn go because we don't need both. And I wish Bergwijn well. I think he'll go on to be a good player, but he just doesn't have the opportunity. Unfortunately, he plays only really on the left, and you got Sonny there. So for me, I would let Bergwijn go first. And if someone came in and put in a decent bid for Moura, and we had ready-made replacements, but I like Lucas. And also, Lucas isn't a fuss maker. He's an easy man around the squad. He doesn't moan. Like, he's not someone that's going to be knocking on the door saying, play me or let me leave. He's happy to play his part, kind of like what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was doing at Manchester United. He is an option off the bench. I'm happy for Lucas to stay. I would sell both, but if you have to sell one, Bergwijn, and I think Bergwijn, you could get a decent. You could probably get your money back on Bergwijn.
Yeah, close to it, at least. Very, very close to it. I feel the same way. I think you sell Bergwijn. Of course, I think Bergwijn might potentially offer just as much to the squad as maybe Lucas would, but I think Lucas, at the end of the day, like, we all have a bit more of a sentimental, I feel like, sort of relationship with him. He really has, at the end of the day, done things for this club, and he has shown passion and heart for this club. He also has been a great ambassador for this club, I feel like, especially to Portuguese, Brazilian speaking players as well. He's been a great ambassador to them. You could say maybe they're weird, I don't know, maybe off the field sort of like benefits maybe of keeping Lucas around, maybe more than maybe Bergwijn, you could say. So that would be maybe my reasoning. But I do see the logic for selling both. But I think we've gotten through all the questions today, everybody. So we do move on to everybody's favorite time, which is the extra time. And we're going to roll right into it. It's the annual 100-meter dash for the Spurs squad. Who wins? I'm going to go first. And I'm going to take the easy one, but I want people to give me reasons. Give me a different player. I'm going to say Sonny, but I want people to give me a different player.
Okay.
Dave.
No, let Sean go first.
Okay, Sean's already got it. Yeah.
I would say Lucas Moura, but only because Romero gets lined up in lane number 3 and Sonny's lane number 2, and Romero's so desperate to win
start
that he trips up Sonny. He gives Sonny a little nudge in his competitive nature, and Sonny stumbles, and therefore Lucas Moura can pull away.
He probably Romero. He probably tackles the guy with the starter's pistol. Actually, that's what he probably
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right, so Lucas wins by taking out of Son.
A technical knockout, TKO.
Technical knockout. I like that. But Dave, who wins it?
I'm gonna go with Emerson. He has the big legs. He has them sprinter legs, the ones that folk out the muscles to be able to good long legs, good long stride on them. When the Olympics is on and the sprint's on, I do watch it. A lot of them massive legs. The big powerful ones are the ones that always win. So I'm gonna go with Emerson. Outside that.
Reguilón, I think you can make a good case for. He is a speedster. He
speedster.
He also has that long stride, I would say, actually, Reguilón does, maybe more so. Actually, maybe deceivingly kind of long legs, I would say, actually, Reguilón does. Sonny, I think, is the obvious one, but I would say it's very, very, you could make the case for Reguilón. I think you can make the case for Reguilón.
Yeah, he's a good shout for Reguilón.
Yeah, I like that. I think that is actually the best shot. Big up to bottom, dude. I'm just making sure. Some people say Sanchez. Sanchez is quick. Have we forgot about Sanchez, actually? Maybe Sanchez is
he'd slip. He'd slip up.
Yeah.
He'd slip on the sweat on the starting blocks.
I wouldn't even get out the starting blocks. Trip.
Yeah, that's probably the most likely outcome. I love this. I love Stevie B. Some people Stevie B. I don't think so. I don't think Stevie
B. He'd be close. He'd be fourth.
He is fast, actually, to be fair. Like, there are times when he really impresses me with this speed, and then there are times where I'm like, why does Stevie B look slower than last time? But I like that, Jerome. I do like that. Moving on, your dream signing for this Spurs squad. Basically, any player in the world that you could put into this team to make this team better for next season. Wow. Who would that player be? I have gone for Bruno Guimaraes in the past, can no longer do that. I'm actually going to do the video we did today, maybe a bit of a plug for it as well. I'm going to say Rodrigo de Paul. I'm going to put Rodrigo de Paul into this team, be able to slide the through balls in, get the sexy passes, the ball carrying ability. Not a good pick, I'll be honest. I'm definitely going to probably be outdone here, but just to plug the video today, I'm going to say Rodrigo de Paul. Dave.
Anybody at all, just so anybody
at all, make it fun. But give me a good reason, like I did, with my Rodrigo de Paul. Tell me what he brings to the team. Tell me why that would be the player you get.
Dream signing. Look, I'm gonna go with Haaland purely because it's.
I thought it was gonna be Modric. I really thought it was gonna be Modric.
No, look, I have 3, so I'll just be quick on them. Look, when it comes to Haaland, guys, a long-term Harry Kane replacement. He's gonna get you goals from year to come. He's an absolute specimen of an athlete. Unbelievable finisher, can score outside the box, inside the box, has the strength, the same sort of stature as Harry Kane. He could probably mold him into getting that passing ability and stuff like that. So Haaland would be the dream. And plus it means we have a second striker at Tottenham. But Luka Modric or Sandro Tonali, I would like to come in here. Someone that is just unbelievable, ice cold on the ball. Deeper in the deeper area or up in the final third, and so that would be my.
I'm just going to get outdone by everybody. Maybe I'm just in my feelings with DePaul today, but Moondog just quickly saying, please don't let Winks be here after the summer. I'll try my best, Moondog. I'll try my best to keep him out for next season, my man. And he also says, if it's running backwards, then Winks wins. LOL. Probably it's actually I'm trying to think what. what actual Olympic event could I actually see Harry Winks doing better than the rest of the squad? And it's actually what's come to mind.
Gymnastics. He's built
Maybe
for
curling, maybe the winter sports, Harry Winks be quite good at. Who knows? Yeah, gymnastics, to be fair. Sean, your dream signing.
Kevin De Bruyne, I think.
Whoa. Yeah.
Good choice.
Fine taste.
Mainly
Fine
because
taste.
I feel like Kulu and Kevin De Bruyne look so alike that they could swap and no one would know. And then you
Yeah.
could, like they look alike, they play alike. Well, they don't play alike so much, but yeah, I've run out of steam with the jokey side of it. I just think Kevin De Bruyne is just an amazing football player. I think he's absolutely and he'd be what we need. We need someone who can be creative in the center. So that's why.
Just quickly, Craig, I think Emerson does win that 400 meter, and he also wins the marathon as well. I think he wins the 400 meter. Absolutely. I've actually ran the 400 meter, and I can tell you that Emerson wins that. He definitely does wins that. Especially, Dave, you round that final corner on the 400 meter, that's when the starts coming out as well, So I would say he's definitely winning that. He's definitely winning that. Debottom Duda says, my dream signing, Nicolo Barella, another fine taste. Very, very fine taste there. And actually, to be fair, someone who's worked really well under Conte and could be that box-to-box sort of Metsala midfielder for us. That's probably one of the best options out there, actually, Bottom Dude. It's a very clever signing there. Really do like that one. Number 3, would you rather see Spurs win the Europa League or an FA Cup next season? It was supposed to say next season. So, given my prediction, that will probably end up being in Europa League, I feel like, next season. Would you rather us win that competition or rather us see an FA Cup? Dave?
Look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I definitely wouldn't snub my nose up at the Europa League. If you're in it, I want to win it. But for me, it's the FA Cup. It just has that extra.
Is it harder? Could you make the case that the FA Cup is harder to win?
Well, if you have the likes of City, Liverpool and that, and it probably would be compared to some of the teams that would be in the Europa League. Look, Europa League is a European trophy at the end of the day, but look, it's the second tier European trophy. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, but for me, it's just that FA Cup. It has that extra special place in my heart, that extra special meaning to me. It's something that my old lad has always passed on to me as a Spurs fan, talking about the FA Cups that we've won and stuff like that. So for me, I would definitely go with the FA Cup, Jack.
Maybe some of the younger fans going to Europa League, though.
Two Spurs, it means something too as well, though. First club to put the ribbons on it, you know what I mean?
Aaron's saying.
We had won it the most times up until Arsenal went on their little spell of FA Cups only. So, for me, I would take the FA Cup.
Yeah, and considering the history as well. I mean, Cody Mack does say, though, Europa gets you that Champions League. Tough call. Also, all that extra money as well. Probably Europa League gives you more money than maybe the FA Cup does.
A lot more money.
But Sean, what would you prefer?
Yeah, Europa League for Cody Mack's reason, gets you the Champions League, gets you a lot more money. And also, as much as the FA Cup is, old school prestige, you don't have to beat that many great teams to win it.
You have to beat like 2 in a row or 3 in a row, maybe.
From the quarterfinals on, you probably, unless you could get super lucky and avoid a lot of big teams, or if you get unlucky, you obviously play big ones the whole way through. But generally speaking, I think it's far harder to win the Europa League. I think you'd naturally get better teams. It's also more fun watching, Thursday nights. I find against big teams that you don't know too much about. Yeah, I love them. So for me, for the money, for the prestige, for the reward, both financially and what it gets you next season, and just for the variety of team that you might come up against, I would always take the Europa League.
I think, plenty of fans who know what the FA Cup means to this club. It's just FA Cup is the obvious one. It's what's, familiar to Spurs. It's also a trophy that obviously has maybe waned in importance, but, to people who really grew up during the days of the FA Cup, it's almost way more important than the Europa League, because the FA Cup used to be practically, almost bigger than European Cup competitions. It was a huge day back then, especially, I would say, Dermot, I know, no questions asked, he would say FA Cup. So perhaps it's almost a generational answer. Maybe it's a generational answer, for what they say. Number 4, would you rather have Prime Hoddle, Prime Bale, or Prime Kyle Walker back in this current Spurs squad?
Prime Hoddle.
The current Spurs squad.
Current Spurs squad. I would say Prime Hoddle, just because he fixes every problem there is, and he'd probably be a 200 million pound player practically in our team. But Dave, you did make good cases for Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker goes into your world 11, solves the defense. I mean, would you make a case for that?
Yeah, Kyle Walker goes into my World 11 because of my idea of my World 11. What I want, pacey fullbacks, who can get forward, but also have the best recovery pace in the world and stuff. But look, for me, it's got to be Glenn Goddard, Glenn Goddard, purely because if this guy played now on the services and the pitches we have and had the training facilities available to him that is available to players now, the dietitians and everything else, imagine how good that guy would be now. He would be absolutely unbelievable.
He was ahead of his time as well. He was ahead of his time. So
ahead of his time. This guy could just put a ball on a 2 pence. Unbelievable. The guy was class. Look, of course he was a bit before my time, but I love the history of Tottenham, and I do watch a lot of videos and stuff like that. And I just look at him, and it's like, imagine if he had everything the modern day footballer has now. And especially the playing service, what he would do to today's game now, I think.
He had these carpets. If he had these carpets, I think it probably would be over, actually. But Sean, prime Hoddle, prime Bale, prime Walker. What are you thinking?
Because it says for this particular squad right now, I take Kyle Walker because I think we need him.
Because we said get rid of both right wing backs.
Yeah. We need him more than we do. I think the other two. So for me, it's Kyle Walker. 100%.
Wow. Sean, didn't think you were going to actually. Wow. Really?
Why?
Wait.
You're on.
No, it's just because I know you guys are traveling over the world to come to Tottenham. So it's
wow.
Love you guys.
Really appreciate that, Sean.
Well, I tell you what we'll do. That. We'll take that and we'll put it behind the bar. Me, you, and Jack will drink it when we're over there.
Enjoy it on the plane. Enjoy the plane. Love you. Let's move on.
Alrighty. Wow, Sean, way too generous, my man. Way too generous. Well,
we'll do what Sean says. We'll just move on. Moondog says 53 years supporting. It's got to be the FA Cup. The Moondog, you've had your fair share of them. Stop getting greedy on them FA Cups, my man. Share them around. I'm starving for one. Absolutely starving for one. But big up, Moondog, my man. I really appreciate the support, brother. And
I was lucky enough to see Hoddle play as well.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's probably one of the greatest ever Spurs players to be witness to. Harry Kane, to be witness to Harry Kane and Hoddle in one lifetime, that would be absurd. I think there are probably some Spurs fans. Are there Spurs fans still out there that could say they've seen Greaves, Hoddle, and Kane?
But even if you just go for midfielders alone, my old lad, he would have seen Hoddle, Gascoigne, Luka Modric, Dembele.
Yeah.
Imagine the midfielders he's seen. Unbelievable.
My old man grew up. My old man was 53. He was born, and he was on the terraces of Tottenham at 6 years old. So he saw Greaves in the 61. I don't think they had season tickets back in 61. Maybe they did.
No,
but he was a regular all the way through that period. So he's seen them all.
Did you ever go into any of the pubs and because Spurs players used to be in the pubs then days and all, it used to be a lot more accessible.
I don't know. I haven't asked. Maybe. Knowing the guy that he is, probably.
It was accessible to him.
Yeah.
Getting an autograph and then going out and selling it. Setting up an unborn Shawnee for his future.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Baz Radfar saying my £50 bet on Kane to win Golden Boot is still alive. I mean, he's probably going to finish top scorer in the squad. It's I would say though, son, it's continuing to stay right ahead though, which is going to be a nice little battle towards the end. We'll see if Harry Kane, proves David right.
Scores one, Kane scores two. Eventually, he's going to catch him. It's always happening.
But Dave, he's saying he's gone for the Golden Boot. Does Harry Kane catch up to Mo Salah?
What's Mo Salah?
19, I think.
Oh, I don't know about that.
What's Kane on now? How many's Kane got?
8, 9.
No chance. No.
Not 10. 8. No, I don't know. Is it 10? I don't know. No, I think it's
not.
Sonny's on 10. I think Sonny's on 10.
Yeah. Well, look, it doesn't matter. Kane's going to finish top scorer of the club. Which may I add, I said at the start of the season when all this stuff was going on, just because it was always going to happen.
Kane is on 10. Kane is on 10. They're saying Kane's on 10.
Yeah.
Does he catch up? Does he catch up?
No, not Mo Salah. Look, Liverpool are going for the league.
He might finish on 20. He could fini's on 20, but by that point, Salah will be on 30.
Yeah, exactly. Salah will just keep moving the goalpost. Yeah. So Kane's not getting the Premier League Golden Boot. still finishing inside the top 3, though, and I'll take that for a player that, you know, was finished, was too old, too many injuries, didn't want to be here, didn't love the club. I take that for someone like that. You know, it's not bad.
Guys, can I ask you a question, a random question? Who's doing the watch along for the West Ham game on this channel?
No one is. They're taking a day off.
What's everybody going to do?
I'm going to see if I can get someone in place to kind of do the pre-match build-up and the watch-along.
Nice.
But if not, people take a week off, listen to Fraud Sports, realise why you don't listen to them all season, and then come back to us for the game after that. And but look, what I will say is, with me and Jack both being away in the UK for the week, there's going to be very few and far content from next Tuesday to the following Monday. But after that, we'll be back. With a bang, to be honest with you. We'll be coming back in steamrolling YouTube. So, just bear with us. That's all I say.
Nick Lazy 8 saying me and him doing it. Nick, I'm also going to the West Ham game, bro. I'm also going to the game.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait,
not me, buddy.
Nick and Marcelo. Let's see if Marcelo's
Nick and Marcelo would be a banger. That would be a banger, actually.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Moondog saying Gary Brook was what a speed merchant he was. Actually, I have no idea about Gary Brook, to be fair. It probably shows my age.
Don't know.
Sorry, Moondog. I'm sorry, my man. I've disappointed you. And Moondog, I owe you one. My man. I'll look him up and I'll report back to you. I'll give you all the stats with Jax on Gary Brook, my man. Maybe even come back with a few speed tests maybe on him just to confirm it. But Gary Brook, unfortunately, I'm just not as informed.
I've never heard of him. I know. I thought I was pretty clued up, but I don't know who Gary Brook is either, so no idea.
And then he says, "Get Winks in to do the watch." That'd be spectacular. That would be spectacular.
I wouldn't even let him on my channel. Honestly, I wouldn't let. He has the wrong mentality to be on this channel. I wouldn't let him on. I'm serious. I wouldn't let him do it.
That's awesome.
Even in a time of need, when he's desperate for anybody to host it as well.
No, thank you. No Harry Winks, no chance.
Even if I couldn't speak, I still wouldn't have him on beside me. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it with the guy.
It's like if Dave, needed just a glass of water and Harry Winks would be the one to hand it to him.
It's winners only anyway. He wouldn't be able to put up with us. It's winners only over here, lad.
Absolutely. But Dave, passing it on over to you. I think what I can do first, though, is Sean, really do appreciate you coming on today, my man, and really appreciate you giving some spectacular answers. I would say time has flown by, and this was supposed to be a bit of a shorter show, but just shows how good we are that we're able to, stretch it with all these great answers. But Sean, where can people find you?
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, you can find me, guys, at Spurs Talk Show on Twitter, Instagram. Not that I do anything on Instagram or Twitter really, but YouTube, all one word, #no spaces. I'm on the march to 600. I think I've got 592 or something. So if eight people in the chat haven't subscribed, love it if you guys could just do me a little favor and just click the link and click the button. Would mean the world to me to get to 600 before I don't know, next week, if I can, if it's possible.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Everybody, get over there and make it possible. Look, there's definitely 6, 7, 8 people that haven't subscribed that really should get over there, smash that subscribe button, and let's see if we can get 600 done nice and early. For Shawnee, maybe Shawnee needs to up his expectations next time. So, guys, do get over there and smash that subscribe button. Jack, where can people find you, man?
Everybody, just quickly, I would say, did the Champions League watch along yesterday with Nick. It was an absolute blast. If you basically just want to see someone lose their shit over Benzema and, just have them wax lyrical about the beautiful Mercedes-Benz of the number 9, I would say definitely check out the watch alongs in the future. I've had a great time. Also, as well, we did do it where people could stay in sync and, people, it was kind of the same format that you saw last time with the watch along. So it is also us, it's a good place for us to, try to perfect, to make the watch alongs better on this channel as well. So I would head on over there, have a good, Spurs fan to watch Champions League with you, as well as Dave and I did do a very good World 11 debate where we gave our best players in every position around the world. And I would say that PSG game and Real Madrid game, we kind of both, proved something on each other. Dave, proved to me, Luka Modric, can't leave him out. Can't leave him out of a World 11. And I showed Dave, you got to have a goalkeeper that's good on your feet, or you might have Benzema, taking his lunch money there. So I would say definitely check out that stream as well.
No, 100%, guys. Everybody who has it, the Flat Cap Euro Talk, it's going to be your baby all summer long for the transfer window. So do get over there and smash that subscribe button, guys. The support over there has been overwhelming. To even smash 1K on it this season is unbelievable. It's something we didn't think what was going to happen. So a massive thank you to everybody for that. But guys, we are it was on 595. Now it's gone down to 594 on Sean's channel. So someone's acting the Billy Goat. So what I will say, guys, is come on, let's get 5 over there. Smash that subscribe button and let's get to 600 subs. Maybe it's Kai Ballack, Sean, because he does say he wants a tune on that guitar.
You know what? Next time, Kai, come back next time. I promise you I will. They're not tuned. I haven't played them for a while. It'll take me a while to tune them up. But I will play a song for you one day for sure.
No,
Legend.
Absolutely. Who knows, Kai? We could have the new Ed Sheeran, there with us. We just don't know, man. We just don't know. But look, I want to say a massive
thank you. It was Cody.
I love it.
Just quickly, everybody. Community section, head on over there right now, especially while the stream is up and live. Do give in your questions for Tottenham on Tour tomorrow. We're doing that show with the boys. It's a bit of a Man United preview as well as kind of a wrap up of the week. I think a lot of people have enjoyed it, but we really like getting everybody else's questions on that. So Welsh Gals, her question has showed up before. I've seen Liam One's question show up before, seen a few other people's questions show up. So if you want your question to be discussed by the panel for some length, I would definitely say, put in your questions in the comments of that community section, because they probably most likely will be on screen, unless probably more than 6 or 7 show up. We might have to wane it down. But last time we put every single one of those comments up on screen and we went through each and every one of them. So really would encourage everybody to go on over there and put your questions in, basically on anything having to do with Spurs.
Yeah, and guys, that show is kicking off at 3 p.m. tomorrow as well. Anyone that does want to tune in for it. And then, of course, Saturday, we're back with the pre-match build-up and the watch-along as well. Jack will be gallivanting across the UK. So it will be myself, and I haven't asked Shawnee, but Shawnee, are you around Saturday? So it'll be myself and Shawnee, and we'll see who else is knocking about that wants to come in and join us. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for tuning in. Massive thank you to everybody who has smashed that like button, who has smashed that subscribe button. A massive thank you to everybody who has helped support the channel financially, guys. You have no idea how much it really does help us. And look, guys, we'll see you all back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Come on, everybody. You Spurs.
Come on, Spurs. Don't say we trust.
Come on, Spurs.
Wherever we go.